Mando, Merc, and this is welcome to episode. Was it 7?
7.5.
Episode 7, 6.5, whatever you want to call it, of Cast in the Shadows. And Data is not here, though he might be joining us later. We don't know. But in the meantime, I have Kulios and Cam to join me in whatever we're going to talk about today. So, what do we have first, anyways? So we had the Foundation week, right? The Foundation Festival in Star Citizen.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's just quickly go over that. That's not it. That is a comic I was reading. My bad.
So it's a month long.
So yeah, it's essentially in lore. It's pretty much like Independence Day, but for the UEE, or for the UNE, back when it was just the United Nations of Earth before it became the United Earth Empire.
Yeah.
But it's essentially like, like this is really a description here. Like everyone comes and helps each other out, lifts each other up.
So the idea behind it is to help out the community and help the community better itself.
And they're using this just to support the guide program that they have.
Yeah, so I'm actually a member of the guide program, so if any of you just become a Star Citizen, look me up through it. Or Cam as well, because Cam, you're also on it, right?
Yep, I think most of us are.
So, and we each have different specialties. Like, I'm not great with trading, but I can help you out with FPS combat and mining.
So for those who don't know, a short description of what the guide program is a program that you can, on the website, when you're going play now, on there it'll say, hey, you can go and join someone in-game, a real person in-game, and have them kind of show you around, work through different stuff, and there's different categories, like you were saying, that was trading, or FPS combat, ship combat, exploration, miscellaneous, all kinds of stuff there, so you can kind of be like, hey, I really want to learn about trading and the best cargo routes out there, and how to avoid pirates, or I really, really want to know about FPS combat, and what are the best weapons, and what scenarios, that kind of stuff. You can kind of specialize and see what it is you really want to learn there.
Yeah. Yeah, they have like a whole bunch of different options that you can choose.
Also, they just recently added too, for anyone who does not speak or understand English too well, they also offer now language support. So your guide can specifically say, hey, I speak Portuguese or Spanish or Russian.
Which would help, because I've gotten a lot of Chinese guys.
Yep.
And I'm showing actually on the stream here how you can get to it from the, like, if you're just on the website here, just go to community, go to Spectrum, and then just go to guide system, and there you have it. And because someone in one of my live streams during the week asked about how to get Star Citizen, well, first off, you use how am I going to show this? I'm going to just do this here and use this link. The link is actually on our YouTube channel's About page, so use that link and it should take you here. Code is already in, so this way you have starting 5,000 credits bonus.
So if you use a referral code, you will then get, you and the person whose code you use, you will both get a additional 5,000 in-game money.
And this code is reusable. Like, you can use this for as many accounts or whatever as you want, and pretty much you make your username. That's not even mine. I don't even know whose that is.
Yep. I must post a link on the page there too. If we don't post our individual ones, maybe posting a link to the on the Star Citizen Reddit. There's
do that. I'm not on Reddit though, so.
So that way,
there is
lots of people a chance there to get their code used. And then also too,
so you do Bob, right? Like here's your in-game name, obviously, and it will tell you if the in-game name's already taken.
Yep.
For instance, if I were to do, Cam Sylvester, it will tell you that it's already taken. So, yeah, then you have your email, password, it works. And also, I have no idea, who is this? Oh, I think I know. Someone once sent me a link, and when I signed in, I was signed into their account somehow.
Huh.
So I signed out, but now it's somehow saved on Chrome.
You might want to send that over to support.
Yeah, because I don't know who this is. I honestly cannot tell you for the love of God who this is. I don't even have any friends with those initials.
Huh.
I don't know anyone with those initials.
Are you sure
NK or NR or NKR. I don't know anyone with those initials, so I can't tell you. This is the first time really seeing this email. Anyway, yeah, so the Guide System Festival event, it's check it out if you're in Star Citizen. So moving on. What else? Let me just bring up notes. Okay, so also we didn't talk about this.
Those things you have dual factor authentication on your account.
Oh yeah,
yes,
that's a good thing too because he did not. And again, I have no idea who it is. And if whoever it is, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I don't know how. I've been trying to delete it, and evidently it did not work. I'll try it again. I'm sorry.
I would definitely send a support ticket.
Yeah, I should send something to support.
Email.
Because that's not my... I do have multiple accounts, but none of them are that.
Yeah.
They're all email... Like, if it's a... Here's the thing. If it was one of my alternate accounts, I would have said so. Alright, so, we forgot to mention this last week, but Star Citizen passed $300 million in crowdfunding.
Yep.
And people, I'm sure the articles are already in saying how bad that is because, the game isn't out yet, blah, 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 blah.
How dare you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just articles that people who don't play the game, I think, and just inflammatory. I don't know.
Even if they don't play it, they just don't follow it, which is kind of Okay, so
that's the fun part I find really funny is that you have people who don't play the game, know nothing about the game, and someone else goes, "Hey, we need an article on something to get people riled up." How about this? We're seeing something about this one game made like 300 million or something. It's not out yet. That'll work.
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, well, anyway, moving on to just the rest. That was the only Star Citizen news we really have so far this week. In terms of the month, it's been pretty slow for Star Citizen, so... We did get some leaks on Friday regarding 310, but...
Oh, yeah.
That was about
it.
Really, the biggest thing was the Festival Foundation. Or Foundation Festival, or whatever.
Yeah.
Alright, so moving on to non-Star Citizen gaming, we've got Xbox Series X game showcase event, similar to, I guess, what PlayStation did with their Future of Gaming event. In June, we're getting a Xbox One in July 23rd at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So, and they're going to showcase a lot of Halo Infinite stuff, and if Halo said so, get ready.
Speaking of
it'll be really exciting.
Speaking of come this upcoming Tuesday, so that would be the 14th.
Yeah, the 14th, Halo 3 comes out for the Master Chief Collection.
Yes, PC. That's right. So Halo 3 comes out to the Master Chief Collection on PC July 14th. Now optimized for PC. So prepare to finish the fight and blah blah blah. So.
For those who also might not have heard, also too, they have confirmed that with ODST, which is the next game they are bringing to the Master Chief Collection for PC here, and it's coming out on Xbox, they are bringing in the ODST version of Firefight.
Yeah.
Which is the PvE game mode there. A lot of people really like it.
Yeah, and that's supposed to come out later this summer, is what they said.
Also, we did get some confirmations, so Halo Infinite will have the Banished as a primary antagonist. Whether they're going to overshadow the whole created from Halo 5 or not, we don't know. But Mega Block Toys revealed some toys and vehicles that we're going to have in the game. Although Mega Bloks does take a lot of creative liberty with their toys, obviously, like Lego and everyone else does, but some of it was confirmed, actually. So, we know now that red Spartan figure that we saw in New York Toy Fair, can't you remember the one that looked like a Reach Mark V, but stylized red feet.
Yeah.
So that is confirmed as a Mark 7 for. We don't know if it's Spartan 4, but I presume it's a Spartan 4, because it seems all the Spartan 2s are getting the chief armor from the Discover Hope trailer, as if the Fall of Reach book is supposed to be any indication. Shadows of Reach, sorry. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. Then we actually got some reveals. And the band's coming to Halo Infinite. Someone brought up some interesting points. That it might not be like if it overshadows the created and kind of just they kill off that storyline out of game. That kind of sucks because it's kind of what they did with Spartan Ops. They finished that story that they set up in a comic book, which I kind of didn't like because I thought that it was a great setup for Halo 5, and that Halo 5 should have been about getting that key that locates every single piece of Forerunner tech. But whatever.
Because once you hear the covenant, if we're on your number, we would love that. Yeah,
and I don't know. It was the comic book, Halo Escalation. You can read it. It's not that good. The art's inconsistent, and the story is not that great. It has a really bad ending.
Books these days have just been lackluster.
So we do have some Cyberpunk news. We got a look at a new district in Night City called Westbrook. And this is what it looks like. I actually have a better image right here. Hold on. There. So, Westbrook is this very luxurious, kind of like your, I guess, Beverly Hills of Night City. The rich go there. If you have credits, eddies, whatever they call them, you go there to spend them. Even if you don't take a loan to go there because it's so much fun. And you can see in the picture, that's a casino and club there. So you go there. It's like a marketplace. It's a place to hang out. It's very safe compared to the rest of Night City.
Yeah, like a lot of kids.
Which is honestly not saying much, but I mean, it's still. If you look at it and you can kind of tell, it's pretty much safe. And this is only concept art, but from what we've seen in the past, the concept art seems to be very accurate to what the final thing is, if a lot of the trailers are anything to go by. Because some of the concept art, you guys had that goodie pack from GOG.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you saw all the concept art was literally just shot for shot, like the trailer from 2018, but yeah. So pretty much that entire 2018 trailer was pretty much all concept art that they decided to make into animated scenes. So. An engine. So this is why I think that what we see here is more or less going to look like the final product. Maybe they'll change the shape of the building or something, I don't know, but for the most part, expect something very similar to this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's going to be a total of how many districts? 6.
7 or something?
6. So... And here's the official statement from Cyberpunk 2077 saying, Westbrook is considered by many the best place to live and have fun in Night City. If you've got eddies, you come here to spend them. And if you don't, well, take out a loan and pretend you're on top of the world, even for just one night.
Yeah.
And it says concept art. They also shared 2 other images. They got this one here. And you can see the Kiroshi building there. You can see a bunch of other... So this doesn't look like the main city, though. This isn't like the main urban district. This looks like the Bay Area, I guess, of the Night City. And you can see the water here, so... You can see the road. This will be pretty cool. Maybe you have to go through the Badlands to go somewhere, to other places in Night City. I'm just speculating, I don't know, but... I don't know, I like it.
I guess we'll have to...
Yeah, and
have to see it.
Why isn't it going? Okay. There we go. And this looks more familiar. This concept art they also revealed. So, this kind of reminds me of V's apartment complex from that 2018 demo. No.
My only question is, can I go and put posters on the wall?
I don't think you can customize your apartment. I think they said no to that. I know. I was a little disappointed too, but you know what? If Star Citizen allows me to customize my apartment in that game, then it's okay. I can handle it because I can customize my entire character in Cyberpunk to the point where, you know, I can make him not even human anymore.
I mean, how do you define human?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I like about Cyberpunk. Is
humanoid?
Humanoid. I mean, not even, because I guess he was a humanoid, whatchamface, a cyborg, Atom Smasher. In the Night City Wire video we got, they showed off Atom Smasher. He was pretty much like a robot with a human head from his upper jaw.
Yeah, so it's really good to human head.
And this was an article that I thought was not really important because it's just a lot of fluff to me. I mean, it's more like it's more like one of those articles like someone probably accused them of, like, oh, they're probably not diverse or whatever. And honestly, I'm just looking at it and I go, you can do whatever you want. The characters, from what I've seen, the NPCs are from all walks of life. Why is it? No, this shouldn't be a
like
problem.
How much more diversity?
This shouldn't be an issue.
It's not their approved diversity.
Yeah.
Right. Alright, so anyhow, okay, so moving on to I guess the meat of this episode, because I want to talk about is microtransactions and loot boxes in video games, because it is a very serious issue. And I'm not joking, it is a very serious issue. I have 3 articles alone from the BBC news where, and one of them's from July 9th, 2019, so literally a year ago, and some of you are familiar with this one probably, where two kids spent their entire parents' bank account on FIFA trying to get their favorite player, Lionel Messi, in FIFA Ultimate Team, not realizing they were spending real money. They didn't realize. Nintendo helped get their... Because they were doing it on a Switch, Nintendo helped getting their funds back. But EA was completely not there. Like, they asked for comment, and EA didn't respond.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you can argue that it's a failure on the parents, part for
honestly,
having... But at the same time, the way that they designed, like...
These are designed to mentally screw with you.
Yeah, and it's also designed to trick you where you're not using real money, you're using tokens or whatever in the game.
Yep.
And they do it in odd...
real money.
I was reading a story earlier today.
Exactly, and it's so you're not spending money, you're spending tokens.
And I printed out a bunch of these articles. That's how your
brain perceives it, right?
I printed out a bunch of these articles to read over the weekend, and a lot of them involve like some kid who has disabilities and didn't realize, like one of them had like autism, and he plays games for like his educational and whatever stuff because he's disabled. He can't really do anything physically, and he didn't realize he was spending money either. It completely abused, like it manipulated him. Like he's like essentially the target audience to be manipulated for this. And I read another one about some kid where he also has autism, but like he's fine. He's just, and he thought, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm just spending in-game currency or whatever to like try and get my favorite player. And he didn't realize that it was real money. And the idea, and like this article is actually written by his father, and his father was saying how like the idea of people manipulating another for monetary gain is beyond him.
Yeah, well, even then, even if you have the understanding that it's gambling, if you're underage, you shouldn't be able to use that, right? Like it's nonetheless it's gambling, right? Yeah. So any game that has that should be.
Well, that's why it shouldn't. I don't think it should be. It shouldn't be in games, period. End of story. Loot boxes and similarly type monetization should not be in video games. But if it absolutely has to be in games, make it adult only. Which will then mean that those games will probably not be bought.
That's not to say that like you can't have mini games in games, but it's like there's a big difference between legitimate mini games and stuff like that and actual gambling.
Well, yeah, and if you have like loot boxes where it's like, oh, you have to earn the money in game, and that's it, right? That's the only way you can do it. Then that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But the moment you put real life money in, it's actual gambling.
Well, right? I mean, I will say you could still do stuff with in-game money that still follows the same patterns as actual gambling, in that it almost welcomes addiction to it. You know, in terms of
found that article.
For getting something good and stuff like that. You know, and to a certain point, it doesn't matter whether it's in-game money or real money. Obviously, real money can hurt you much more.
Yeah, it's still an addiction. Yeah,
you know, it can still like it's the actual design of those games or whatever else needs to be made in such a way that it is not made to go and essentially promote or create adherence to make it so it's not like a long-term kind of thing you would have to do.
Yeah.
Make it so it's a very short term. You do it a couple times and then, you know, you're pretty much done with it. On mine, it's just loading on the Discord thing. It's not...
mine is too. Yeah.
That's... Well, and that's one thing too that we've seen with a lot of games. It used to be to where, you know, okay, you know, you buy the game and you get the content. Then it was, oh, we're going to add DLC, and it's like, which charging for DLC is fine to a degree. It's like you're making additional content after the main game has been made there.
That wasn't necessarily intended, yeah.
But then it became, well, we're blatantly cutting out content and then charging for this cutout content
as a DLC.
And then it was on top of that all the microtransactions and the loot boxes, to where, oh well, we just need more and more and more and more money. And it's like, to a certain degree, like, I do understand on one hand, like I mean, even 10-15 years ago, you know, you want to buy a new video game, $60, and that price really hasn't by and large changed too much. You know, if you want like the collector's edition or something like that, you're paying a bit more. But for the base game, it's generally $60 or under, depending on the game. Realistically speaking, I would be perfectly fine with seeing video games, you know, for a standard AAA title, new video game. I would be relatively fine seeing that going to 70 or even possibly $80 as a standard, if all microtransactions, all loot boxes where you would pay actual money, all that stuff gone. It cannot be in there. Which, of course, I know that would only hold up for about a year or two, and then the game companies would start edging it back in there, kind of go, oopsie, we made a mistake. You know, get fucked.
Well, I don't know. I have to disagree with you. I have to disagree with you based on the fact that in Canada, games already cost $80, so it'd be like $100 for us, which would just be ridiculous for AAA title.
Yeah, which we'll get into that in a minute, because I think the next thing we want to talk about. But here they actually go into like, I think this is how EA responded by showing them like, here's how you can set parental controls on each device. And to me, these all look like a kid can easily bypass these easily.
Well, I could have bypassed these easily. It's not even about setting parental controls. It's about not designing your game in a way that it's going to be...
Yeah, exactly. That's my problem with it, is that you can put all the control methods you want into it. It's not going to change shit.
Yeah.
And again here, like, I remember when this was a thing, like, Belgium banned the sale of video game loot boxes. Like, any games with loot boxes were banned. And I remember EA's response to that were like, no, we're just going to ignore you and try to sell it anyways. And it became a whole thing. And then obviously we all remember that whole thing at the House of Commons last year in June, where EA said that they're not loot boxes, they're surprise mechanics, and they're quite ethical and fun.
Get fucked.
Yeah. And obviously, so
this
article is from June.
Or interest games and stuff, and even to make stuff, take a while to earn that kind of thing. But the way these are designed is with actual, like I said, the design purpose of these games, the underlying code and chances to win and all that kind of shit. That shit has to be different from actual gambling mechanics. Otherwise, it's literally children gambling. Like literally, if you make a
there's
game,
no question.
whether it's even if it's a mini game or something like that, and children play it, and it's based off of you hire actual people who know gambling, or you research gambling and make a game based off of that. It's child gambling. Literally, there's no way fans
it's slot machines essentially. Yeah,
literally. It's just like there's no sugarcoating that.
Here, this is a good line at the end of this. So this article is from July 9th, 2019. Keep that in mind. Anyway, so though loot boxes are like gambling, we don't know what their effects are until these companies start sharing their data with independent scientists. Well, you know what? It's been a year. We know what the effects are now.
Yeah, really.
Like, here's an article from only a few days later, July 15th, 2019. So this is like a case of several different cases. Here we got a 22 disabled son. This is the one I was just talking about before, where he's unable to just comprehend that. And he buys all this stuff. And look at how many stories. Like, each one of these, another story. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you keep scrolling down. You get 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 7 or 8 stories here alone.
Yeah.
Now this one, at least, it was just Google mostly, and they actually refunded them. But a lot of these, people keep trying to. I like this one though. My boy spent £1,000 on Fortnite. When he was 15, my boy spent £1,000 on Fortnite. The issue was it was a small cumulative amounts that don't seem significant until you add them up over 8 months. He doesn't have Fortnite anymore, and my car will be clean for the next 15 years. I like that, but seriously, this shouldn't be happening.
Oh, exactly. It's like, sure, you can say like, oh, you should have set parental controls and stuff like that, and it's like, I'm sorry, parts of the game should not be designed where you have to parental control out of them because you designed them to be addicting to kids.
Well, and the other thing is, with games before, you go to the store and you buy a game, or you buy a disc. Now you have to put your card details in, and you have to digitally buy it. So your card details are already in there, right? Yeah. So it's nothing for your kid to just go, okay, well, I'm going to use the saved card details and just buy whatever.
Exactly, it's all there. It's all there for him. Yeah. He just needs to know what he's doing, and even if he doesn't know what he's doing, and knows how to do it, Like, for instance, this kid, this is a good story because the kid actually knows he's not allowed to do this. I installed Mini Golf King on my phone for my son, who is 5. He knows he's not allowed to spend money in games, and yet this game successfully tricked him into spending £300 on in-app purchases. Fortunately, my card issuer blocked some of the transactions, but a purchase for £75 went through, along with a few smaller ones. When my son realized that he'd spent real money, he was completely inconsolable, saying he was so sorry for being naughty and he thought they were pretend coins. My refund requested via Google Play was automatically rejected. I explained that my son is autistic and his disabilities makes him vulnerable. He doesn't really understand the concept of being manipulated, and he wouldn't necessarily understand why people who make games want money. See? Oh, okay, so the other guy was probably the one who was physically enabled. My bad. Disabled, I mean. I was confusing the two stories. Anyway, but yeah, this is this is what we were just talking about. Like, you can put all the control you want, and it doesn't matter. You're still tricking kids into gambling.
Well, and like I said, it's not even like you said. It's not even just kids. It's like you're expecting that. Oh, hey, do you want to speed this up? Do you want to get rid of ads? And then it's like whatever. You spend more and more. They each get you those small purchases at the start, right? And then it's I already spent money on the game.
Yeah. So here we have. We talked a little bit about this last week.
What you were saying on the phone there.
Yeah. We talked about this.
That's a good point. We have talked a lot about how it affects kids, but at the same point, it's like you have people and even just normal people. So we're talking about your average person, like they're a full adult. They're just playing the game for fun. But you have a lot of games too nowadays, which are specifically being developed to go and make the game arduous, make the game more difficult on purpose. Just to go and get you to spend your money on it.
Yeah, so this is why
it's terrible.
This is why I wanted to bring up this topic here from July 9th, 2020. So we have literally a year later, and now we're hearing a case where a kid, 21-year-old kid, spent and this isn't a case of he's a kid, he's being tricked, or he doesn't know, or he didn't realize it was real money. This is a kid who realized it was real money. He knew he was doing addiction. He developed an addiction, then realized he developed an addiction, but he couldn't stop because he needed the buzz. He needed that satisfaction that it gave him.
Yeah.
And he knew that, but he couldn't stop because that's what an addiction is. It's no different than a drug addiction.
Absolutely.
And that's what this entire story goes about, and it's horrible. It sucks. And EA's response is pretty much just they don't care. They say it's not gambling. They just
EA gives no shit about anyone. They've long showed they don't care about their customers in any way, shape, or form anyway. So.
Yep.
Well, and it's not even just EA anymore.
Right. The reason why this is a problem too is
they're just the most obvious.
Right, and the reason why this is a huge problem is forget the fact that this is just straight up gambling. Forget the fact that it's in a game where you already have to pay $60 up front. But there's also the fact that these games are now being developed for this. Like you have pretty much like Star Wars Battlefront 2 back when it launched and a lot of other games that can go on like Battlefield 5 and essentially, I don't know, like name your Activision game kind of thing.
Yeah,
but all these games are developed where you don't pay real money. You have to grind like 40 hours to get the same thing that you can get for $5 if you just pay with real money.
The thing is too, right? With all these FIFA games, and that's what the guy that was gambling on was for FIFA characters, right? They're not expanding on the game. They're just it's the new players, right? They could release the new players. They could do updates to the game, but they don't. They sell the new game and then they sell the new players as well, right?
And then they could just be adding on the old one.
Exactly.
And then they shut down the old servers. And it's like, and like you said, it's like there's nothing new about the game. Like, there might be like one or two things, some visual improvements, but
texture updates.
There's nothing in the code that would actually go in and legitimize releasing it as an entirely new game versus just an update patch.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that
and here's where he's saying, like, he knew it was an addiction. But he couldn't control it. He knew it was. It's like I hate to use the comparison, but it's accurate. It's a drug addiction. It's a gambling addiction. Addiction is a disease. You have to treat it. You can't. And what the games are doing is they're just making it worse.
They're capitalizing.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
That's literally what it's for. Like, and he went into the article like where he started becoming secretive about it, so this way that his parents wouldn't find out how much money he was spending. And this is even before he realized it was an addiction. And then he talks about his mom was diagnosed with cancer, and that's probably what kind of helped him realize that it was becoming an addiction. And then after he realized it was an addiction, it didn't matter. He just needed to get the buzz. He needed to, and it's horrible. It's horrible to read because it sucks. I don't want this to happen to people, but it does, and that's the problem. There are people that are susceptible to getting to gambling. Gambling addiction's a real thing. And this is no different. This is literally just gambling addiction, but you're not doing inside a casino. You're doing it in the comfort of your own home.
And that actually too probably makes it worse because you're much comfortable. Like if you were like every time you want to go gambling, you had to go to the casino. It's like there's a whole process that you have to go through, and that might go and help you to go and kind of kick that kind of addiction. Just so that essentially it's like, oh hey, I have to do all this other stuff to get there. But instead, it's just in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just click a button, and there you go.
It's a huge problem, and I don't think I still have the link. I had it printed out, but I don't have it on the computer anymore, so that sucks. But essentially, it was a link regarding it was the UK Parliament link about the House of Lords discussing gambling and how they're just like, this is straight up gambling. This should be like, and they should have regulations on it. There should be legal. Like, they're talking about how there should be abolished from games, or it should have regulations where it's only like adult only games and stuff that we're talking about, and they're talking about how like it doesn't even need like legislation and stuff. You can just make these laws right now.
Yeah,
like it's not like a thing where it needs to take months and months. Like just do it now, now. It's not that big of a thing.
Well, and
but it's a real problem. It is a real problem.
In my mind, like these games should be more highly regulated than like games that have like sex in them. Like right now, it's like if you were to have, it's like for instance the Witcher 3 that has some adult scenes in there, and does it have an M rating or does it have a?
Here I'll check right now.
Because I don't get a world where it's like, seeing private parts is somehow regulated more heavily.
Yeah, so it was rated 18.
It's 18?
Yeah, rated at 18. Yeah.
We talked about that a little last week when we were comparing Sony's inconsistent censorship, where it's like, look at this, straight up, fully nude sex scene in Last of Us Part 2, and that's completely uncensored, and then we have seen, one scene that shows a female butt in Devil May Cry 5, but that has to have a giant lens flare over it.
Yeah, and like you said, it's not even just about that. It's
in a M-rated
gambling is such a more. It's a way more real of a threat than having to censor something.
It's also more harmful. It's harmful.
Yeah, it's more
harmful. Is not harmful.
It's like with private parts. It's like, look, half the population can go and just be like, oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
We'll make that a Cast in Shadows original quote. Half the population can just look down. But yeah, that's the problem. It's like, look, nudity, as much as some people may not want to see it or may want to see it, as disturbing as that is, that's the world. It's not harmful. Everyone has it. You take a shower, you're nude. That's how it is. Unless you don't. I don't know. I'm not getting into that. But the point is, gambling is harmful. Gambling can be harmful to people. Sometimes some people it isn't.
Then,
but
if you want to argue that it still needs that rating, well, that's not the point. The point is gambling does.
Gambling is far more harmful than seeing private parts. Although that also too, porn addiction is a real thing. That can't hurt.
Yes, it is. The Orville had an episode on that.
If you
just off topic a little bit. If you haven't watched Orville, go watch it. It's on Hulu. It's really good. Anyway, it is.
As a note too, for people who might not know, any action can become an addiction. You can become, it might not be a physical addiction, but mentally, your brain becomes addicted to it, and you receive dopamine by doing whatever it might be. So. And now, to my mind, something becomes an addiction to where you start going and actively adjusting your life around doing whatever that thing might be. You're like, hey, I have to go and smoke that cigarette. Hey, I have to go and have a brownie, or I have to go and jump on my left leg 3 times, whatever it might be. If it starts getting to the point you're like canceling plans to do it, you're like, hey, I want to really do this other thing, but I'm not going to now to go and do this other thing where it's like I don't really want to, but I kind of have to. If it's interfering with your life.
If it's interfering with your life, like for example, if you're going out with the family for a dinner or something, right? And no, I'm sorry, I can't, guys. I really need to do whatever it is your addiction is implying you to do. It's like, that's a problem. That's a problem. You should not have to put.
It's like, if that's the case,
when it's affecting your personal life and if it's affecting your personal life and your relationships with other people, that's how you know it's bad.
Anything out of what your normal life is.
That
being said, I'm not addicted to Star Citizen.
That's not to say, dude, for example, like if you like playing video games, even for hours at a time, that's fine, as long as you can still just. You walk away from it. You aren't actively going and scheduling your life around playing on the computer, stuff like that. That's fine, but just everything in moderation.
Yeah, I think that's key. Everything in moderation, and yeah, I mean, and look, there's nothing wrong with like, okay, every Sunday I'm going to play Star Citizen because that's the day I can organize with my friends. That's fine too, but it's like when you're organizing everything. Like for example, if I can't make it one Sunday to play with these guys, then I'd say that I can't make it and I don't play. It's it sucks.
Yeah,
but it's not like, oh no, I have to play. I have to play.
If you break apart because you can't do it this one time, hey, might be time to seek help.
Yeah. So it is a serious problem, and it does need to be addressed, and it needs to be talked about more too. I mean, a lot of people talk about it already, but we need to really get the ball moving, because if everyone's talking about it, eventually they can't just ignore us anymore. Unless we're too far, unless we've drifted too far into the 1984 future, in which case we're all screwed anyways. But
yeah, I mean,
sorry, cough.
You say something? No.
But yeah, absolutely. There needs to be some sort of change.
Exactly. All right, you guys want to move on or continue talking about this?
Yes, onwards and upwards.
Onwards. So you brought this up before. More expensive prices for video games. So NBA 2K21 is going to be $10 more expensive on the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. I really need to make up a shorter acronym for the new Xbox, because holy crap. XSX doesn't work, and Xbox Series X doesn't work either.
SX? I don't know. Yeah, there's not really
X? I don't know. Yeah, it's... they should have just called it the 720. Anyway, yeah, so the Xbox NBA 2K21 is going to be $70 for the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox. Now, the PS4 and Xbox One versions, it's still going to be $60.
So, and see, I think it's probably just Sony got paid for a better deal.
Probably.
No, Xbox One's also
always seems to get those deals,
Yeah. No, I don't.
Like
I don't.
games,
I wouldn't discount it yet. But here, so this is a good image, like showing the differences of like how absurd this is. I actually have a better one. Give me a second. There we go. So this might be a little small on people's screens, so I apologize. But oops. This is essentially the full detailed breakdown of the difference between the different variants of the game and why one's going to be 60, one's going to be 70 for which consoles, and blah blah blah. And it's kind of ridiculous. Because the only difference really is like it's going to be $10. They're essentially monetizing on Kobe Bryant, the Sony version, I think. No, sorry, not the Sony version. The whatever this is, the deluxe edition.
The Xbox version.
No, because it says each one. These aren't the different versions. These are different versions of the game.
Oh, okay.
So this is the standard version. This is, I guess, deluxe edition. Built for next gen, unavailable. Unbeatable graphic fidelity. Sorry, it's really tiny, so I'm kind of trying to read it. Yeah, the NBA Forever edition or something. What's it say? And Mamba Forever edition. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So and it says here, Kobe Bryant Digital Collection, and I've heard a lot of people say this. Now I can't judge because I'm not a big sports game guy. Like I'm a big sports guy. I love playing basketball. I love playing baseball. I love watching sports too. But when it comes to the video games, I hate them. I haven't played a Madden game since 2008, which is also the first time I played a Madden game. Not because it was a bad game. I really had a lot of fun. It was at a time where I broke my arm, so I couldn't play. So I had a lot of fun playing it. But from what I hear, it's the same game then as it is now. The only difference is graphics, and not even. There's not even much of a difference. Well, player sort of a difference too, but in terms of game mechanics, it's the same game. But yeah, this is essentially, you got the September 4th version coming out on the current platforms, and then you got the Holiday 2020 edition that's going to be $70 coming out on the next-gen platforms. And the problem is the PC version is going to be the older version.
As in
the $60 lesser graphics, whatever. The one made for the older consoles.
That's weird.
Yeah, you'd think, because our PCs will still, even on release of the new consoles, are still going to run a little bit faster. I mean, I don't know what the percentage will be until we get the consoles hands-on, but I can guarantee you that some people's PCs are going to be a lot better than the consoles still. Even not saying these consoles are shit. These consoles are really good, but I mean, obviously these consoles will start to age, and then PCs won't, and that's the thing.
Well,
but that's always been
the thing. Is, like I said, it's just the nature of how far computers have advanced. It's always going to be more than a console.
Right, like every year, computers are getting better. The consoles get better every 7 years because that's when the new generation of consoles.
Well, I mean, also too, they gotta mass produce, even if they can do it at a slight, at a slight bit of cost because they make it up in the games. But even still,
yeah, and I don't know. It's just a lot of people are annoyed that the PC version is going to be the lesser version, which I can see. I can understand.
Yeah, I can understand that too.
But either way, this is still kind of like why
I imagine it's got to do with just taking time to port it.
So yeah, there's that. And I have this other article regarding game prices going up. So the rise in cost of video games, and pretty much how a lot of, and it's pretty much a lot of excuses regarding like how it's a development time or whatever. And look, I'm saying that's fine, but as you said, it's gonna be like $100 for you, Julius. That's Well, it's bad enough that the PS5 is rumored to be like $700
too, but still.
Yeah. Well, time will tell.
People are playing video games now than ever too. So.
Yeah, so it's like all kinds of extra money coming in there.
Yeah, it's. I guarantee you, in 2020, they made more. The video game industry in general has made more than it made any other year. Obviously.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I think the video game industry is doing better than television and music and films combined right now.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not over exaggerating. I was reading about that. I just can't remember the source. Sorry. But anyway, here's some interesting news. Atari VCS delayed for Indiegogo backer. So Atari, everyone, this is a kind of a new thing. Like all these guys are making these retro consoles. You know, the NES came out recently. The retro, like NES it was like a tiny NES that had all of the original games on it already. Like when you bought it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Genesis was doing something as well. And
yeah.
Sega. You know, so it's a thing. It's a trend. Everyone's kind of making their own little, like retro console. But Atari is making like a new retro console thing. This is what it looks like. But here's the thing: all we have is this design, and all they have is this design. It turns out they don't have anything in terms of the core mechanics or what's actually going to do yet. They just designed this, and that's about it.
An idea, essentially.
They really have no. Yeah. It's kind of like when you had that Anthem trailer and that 2017 demo that we saw was the first time they were seeing it too. The devs were seeing the game.
And we all know how well that worked out.
Yeah. And this is like, they keep asking for money. This is supposed to be like the second time or third time. I could be wrong in that, but... Like, they expected March 2020, but I mean, that passed. Now it's delayed it to December, and after December, that's when it was last promised. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I mean, I hope it becomes good because I like the Atari. I was a huge fan of Missile Command. Right, that was what it's called, the one where you have to shoot the nuclear missiles out of the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite Atari games. So.
Ooh, speaking of which, did you ever see the edit someone made between the U.S. and North Korea?
Someone made an edit for that game?
Yeah, I'll link it. See if I'll see if I can post it in our chat here, and then see if you can upload that.
Yeah. Oh, and honestly, we completely forgot that they're charging $400 for this console. That is like 4 gigs of RAM, 2K and HDR support. It's like 4 gigs of RAM. There's a more expensive 8 gig RAM model too, and it's. I mean, you get more gigs of RAM on your Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, and they're going to cost, or even PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah, the new,
which costs,
the new consoles are
not even just the PlayStation 4 Pro, the older, like the most recent PS4 model.
Well, did we get
costs more
a price on the PS5?
No, that's why I went back to saying the PS4 Pro, because that is $400, and you get more for your buck with that than you do with this.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's like you have something. These are both the same price, but much different in terms of what they can do in hardware. So I don't know. It's just like kind of egregious pricing, but also a bit out there. Like no one's really gonna like. People will hear about it, and then they'll discuss it, and then it'll be forgotten in like a week.
Oh, here it is. So I just uploaded the it's a GIF there. So if you want to go and throw that into let the people watch that.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we got Microsoft's reportedly unconfirmed. Here, so let me just put the link up first. So Microsoft's unconfirmedly reported against publishers charging for Xbox Series X upgrades. So we talked a little about this last week in regards to Cyberpunk. How you get Cyberpunk on Xbox One and you get a free upgrade to the Xbox Series X version.
Yeah.
So the same will be free with Halo Infinite, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I think that's about it. And 14 other titles. Nice. Or including those titles, 14 titles.
That's a good idea for Halo.
This actually came out in regards because of the whole 2K25 thing, I think, where it's like they're charging for different versions, whereas Microsoft's really saying like, no, it should all be free.
Well, I think Halo is going to be their big release.
Well, yeah, that
Xbox.
First of all,
like when
if
they
you're
release
buying
the Series X, it's going to be.
If you're buying an Xbox Series X, I think you're getting Halo Infinite with it because it's a launch. It's like Halo CE for the original Xbox platform.
So I'm not surprised that they would.
That doesn't surprise me at all. But it is surprising to see like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it was amazing. I was glad to see Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, I'm going to be getting it for PC anyways, but at least it's there for those who don't have a PC and prefer the Xbox One, or maybe those families that. Like, here's another thing. I'm just going a little bit off topic, but I do want to say this. I know a lot of people ask why get an Xbox Series X if all the Xbox exclusives like Halo Infinite are coming to PC as well. Well, for starters, not everyone might want to use Windows 10 or is using Windows 10. There are other operating systems, and the games won't run on them.
Yeah.
Now, that's like a smaller population thing. It's also in regards of not everyone has a $1,000+ computer.
Yeah.
Whereas
exactly. That's the thing with PCs, as we said. Like there might be there's some really good PCs that are always going to be better than consoles.
I think we have confirmation about the Xbox Series X being like $400 to $500. So for say just like a regular family with like maybe 8 or 13-year-old kids, right? Or a family of 4 or something, this getting an Xbox is a better deal. It's stuff
absolutely.
Like that. Exactly. So that's what it's for. So
because like I said, there's going to be super good PCs that are expensive, and there's going to be super cheap ones that aren't that good. And it's just
and also
they're more extremes.
Also, a lot of families are just going to be like, no, we'll just get the console because this way you can this way they can play with their friends, and this way they can do that. Whereas you and I, we're not in the same state, let alone in the same city where we can just go to each other's place and play. So having a PC is financially and logistically better. But for other families and other people, that's not the case. So it always comes back to options, I guess.
And I guess also the nature of the games that we play.
Yeah, Star Citizen is not exactly something that can run anything outside of PC, but games like Halo Infinite obviously won't be the case. Assassin's Creed Valhalla won't be the case, although we can't really play that online. But we can play Assassin's Creed Unity online. Actually, I have that for free.
Yeah,
So
I
maybe
can't
try
wait
that.
for Halo Infinite. It should be good.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get it. Which is maybe not one of the reasons why I started the PayPal, but come on, I'm broke. I need money to play these games. Anyway, so moving on though, Microsoft's looking to acquire. So moving on to more Microsoft news. We got 2 articles. Got one from Screen Rant, which I don't really trust, and then one from Games Radar, which is a little bit more trustworthy, but still not that much. But anyway, Microsoft is. We talked a little bit about how AT&T was selling off Warner Brothers Interactive last week, and Warner Brothers Interactive is the studio that makes the Arkham games. So, the Microsoft might be interested in acquiring them and buying them. So, this isn't bad news for me, because so far, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, it depends entirely on how they handle it.
Yeah, because if they have kind of the same team on it.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Like, they're just going to become the new publisher. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, it doesn't seem like bad news. In fact, we might see more games come out of it.
It would depend entirely on how they handle their responsibilities as a publisher there. So it's like if they go and start running some EA level bullshit where it's like, hey, you lost half your data halfway through the game development process, doesn't matter, meet your fucking timeline. Yeah. Obviously, that's going to be a problem.
If they're going to be.
But, assuming they act like reasonable human beings.
Yep.
Which is, I don't know.
I mean, I'm hoping it's good because Microsoft has been doing a pretty decent job as of right now. Like, I mean, they bought Obsidian. They're now they have an exclusives over Obsidian games, like Outer Worlds, and that was good. And the Outer Worlds was made before before Microsoft started buying them, so that was made based on whatever funds that Obsidian had at the time. Imagine what, like, say, an Outer Worlds 2 or something would look like now that they have Microsoft money backing them.
Yeah, or even if they branched out into
and clearly Microsoft doesn't care what kind of games they make in terms of, like, as long as they sell, because, if anyone's played the Outer Worlds, you know what I'm talking about. It's a fun game. Cam and I have played it. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's
not a great game, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's a good, solid RPG. It's fun. You can replay it, and that's what's important. So, if the same is done with Warner Brothers Interactive, I don't see that as really anything other than cool. And this was, I think, another article I had about it. I just can't remember what this article was about. Okay, so this is from MS Power.
MC Hammer, what?
So yeah, anyway, this one is moving on to even other news. We have. So this is not related to to Microsoft, but to an ex-Microsoft developer, our good friends at Bungie. So. Shout out to to Hidden Xperia on YouTube, because he does a great Halo channel. And yeah, I mean, if you like Halo, he's a good channel, so check him out. He actually interviewed Marty O'Donnell, the man, the myth, the legend, the composer behind Halo's soundtrack, and he talked about Bungie and Activision's relationship prior to his being fired from Bungie. It wasn't good. He's going into like how it was bad from the get-go, and how essentially like the only reason they actually signed on was because Activision was the only publisher at the time, like the big name publisher at the time, that would agree to Bungie's request that if we make whatever IPs we make, we still keep the rights if we leave, which didn't happen with Halo, because Halo is owned by Microsoft and not Bungie.
Exactly.
And so they wanted to, okay, we learned our lesson. Let's try to, next time we make something, let's try to make sure we own the IP, even if we leave the publisher. And Activision was the only publisher that would agree with them on that. So that's why they signed on. But O'Donnell says this wasn't a good idea. We shouldn't have done this. And he even goes at one. He even says we were thinking about going back to Microsoft.
Which is hilarious, I think.
Yeah. Imagine if they did.
I mean, I can imagine Microsoft would probably hit them a bit where it hurts. Somewhat understandably.
Well, I don't know.
No, either.
Well, see, the thing is, too...
They left Microsoft because of Microsoft, didn't they? Like, they left on their own volition, didn't they?
Yeah, but you can tell both the Destinies, like, their update cycles and stuff like that Sony, or that... Sony, I guess, Activision. Sony had a big impact on it.
Activision
right?
Blizzard essentially was doing a lot, and the reason why that Activision Blizzard parted ways is because Activision Blizzard. Not Activision Blizzard. Activision and Bungie parted ways is because Bungie was not happy with what Activision was doing with their franchise, and they had different goals and they wanted to go separate ways, so they left. Which I think is great. I like that Bungie left them.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully Bungie can start to... I mean, I enjoyed Destiny games
I can't say I've played Destiny 2, but I have played Destiny 1, and I did enjoy it. It was a fun game. I haven't played it in a few years, but I didn't hate it. I thought it was a fun game. And it's a good shooter. It lacked in some areas, but I mean, the core mechanics are fun, and the gameplay loops are fun. So that's good.
Yeah, I like the raids. If you're able to do those, they're pretty good.
Yeah. Anyway, so we covered that. So now we have Call of Duty. So Call of Duty is an interesting one because we don't usually none of us really play Call of Duty. I mean, the last Call of Duty game I played, I think, was Modern Warfare 3.
It would have been...
I think that was in, 2011, I think. Anyway, so Infinity Ward, the devs of Call of Duty, pull the OK hand gesture from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019.
That's...
it's racist.
The white power thing, right?
Yep, it's okay to sign a white supremacist hate symbol.
Somehow a sign that has never been about that was suddenly made into that because people don't want to listen.
Well, I just love how there's so much stuff that some fucking talking head somewhere that probably barely graduated college goes and says, well, we say this one thing that has never been tied to any kind of white supremacy or any kind of racial.
And I don't even think it was that for that symbol. I think what it was some people on the internet were like, "Oh yeah, that is definitely a symbol for white power," and then news sources just picked it up for obviously.
Yeah, and it's like, and again, it's like there's no research into this kind of shit. There's no actual basis behind it. It's just, well, we say it is, so it is. Like, there was one person on the internet that said this, trying to get a rise out of people, and that's what we're going to go with. Yeah, and it's just like that's not how fucking communication works.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that this is a thing. Like, this is actually happening in our reality. It's sad. Like, oh no, like, remember last year? I remember someone saying, like, milk was a white supremacist drink. And the first time I heard that, after I bursted out laughing, I asked, because I was talking, I think one of my family members told me that, and I started laughing, and I asked him, so is chocolate milk okay? Because, like, do they not see how ridiculous this all sounds? It's a food.
I think the problem with some of the people that get so caught up in this shit, so wrapped up in this stuff. And the same thing with like the whole like microaggression stuff and dog whistles and stuff like that. Is that it's essentially what I really think it boils down to is that actual racism and generally speaking bigotry of all kinds. Generally speaking, is it has been trending lower and lower and lower as society moves along here. And I think part of the problem is that you have some people who are so tied to the idea for whatever reasons, whether it be for political power or because they think they're just, they're fighting the good fight or whatever it might be. There always needs to be for them something to fight against.
Yeah.
And if there isn't, because again, they like I said, either for political power, their identity is tied up in fighting, bigots or racists or whatever the case may be. They always need there to be that fight, and so it keeps getting redefined and redefined and redefined to where, oh well, this is actually racism. Don't worry, your fight is still going here.
Well, and see, the thing is,
so it never ends.
It's not even to say that there's not racism.
No. I mean, there always will be.
They're taking a lot of things that are not out of just.
It's that. I mean, as long as humanity isn't completely and entirely brain controlled or something like that, or controlled through some other overbearing mind washing, brainwashing, whatever. There's always going to be some amount of bigotry. Whether it's because of skin color, whether it's because of your eye color, whether it's your hair color, whether it's because you're a man or a woman, or you're from one region and not another, or whatever the fucking case might be. There's always going to be a reason.
Racism, prejudices, bigotry, and anti-Semitism will always exist. The question is, are you going to allow it to offend you, or are you going to do something to stop it, or are you going to just ignore it and let it fade away into non-existence?
Well, I mean, and it's and like I said, I think generally speaking, as ideas, they are definitely trending lower and lower and lower. But for some people, they don't want that, even though they might say that that's what they want. Like I said to them, there has to always be something to fight against, and so stuff will get redefined and redefined and redefined as something to fight against, so that their fight continues.
Or ends up being something like, oh, this person had a distasteful tweet, or even a bad tweet. Like, say it was a racist tweet. Who cares?
People getting fired over tweets
ago. They have changed.
Remember that James Gunn thing?
And see, the thing is, what's the discourse then? If you're not allowed to change, then how does it work?
Yeah, do you remember that whole James Gunn thing that happened where he got fired for like 12-year-old messages?
Over a decade.
It was like 12 or 13 years later from those messages, and it's like, sorry, you're fired now because you said something bad, and we're trying to be very politically correct and all that.
Even if it is bad, has the person changed, and is that, and if they have, is that not enough then, or what?
Well, one thing too, not to go too deep on a side note here. One thing too, I had read about, because I've been reading up on some of the George Floyd stuff and everything going on there. One thing one comment I read on a news article on it and stuff was saying that besides the fact that the police officer was white and George Floyd was black there, what evidence is there that that what happened there, that the police officer murdering George Floyd there, what evidence is there that it was racially based and not just either classism or just general bullying? It doesn't matter who it is, that the police officer was just on a power trip there. What direct evidence is there that it was race based? And I think that was a very good question, in that everyone immediately jumped on that, oh, it must be racism. We've got marches, protests, riots in some cases, on the basis of race. And it's like, was it?
Well, see, the thing is, I don't know if you would have been able to tell at the start. I think there were incidents that the officer had before. Don't quote me on that, because I absolutely might be wrong, right? But yeah, absolutely, at the start, nobody knew anything about the situation. It was just a cop had killed somebody.
Yeah.
How do you know it wasn't just a cop killing somebody because they want to kill somebody, not because he was that?
And it wasn't just. Here's the thing: it wasn't just a cop killing someone. The cop was in the wrong. It was, and the problem is, it's because he was white and the guy was black. Look, the guy, if he killed a white guy the way he killed him, it would still be wrong. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it was a black guy.
The guy was not reacting. He's actually going, hey, I can't breathe here. and the guy fucking killed him.
And that's we're gonna go really off topic, but just to get back on track here. So yeah, this whole thing with Call of Duty and the hand gesture, it's like, get your. I don't know what got your panties in the knot, Susan, but just shut up. Why are you complaining about the hand gesture? That's not the hand gesture you should be complaining about.
When context stops mattering, then it's just like, what's the point?
I'm just going to end it on this note.
In the first place. If they just left it out, like if they just never got in the game, I don't think too many people would have been like, hey, why is this in the game?
But because they gave a reason.
Okay. But when it's you put it in there and then you very blatantly take it out and go, oh, it's because of racism. Like, really?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say.
Well, like I said, they weren't using it in the context of that, so it's not like they had any. I don't think there was.
What context it would be racist in?
Well, like I said, there was the whole thing that blew up, and even if like you wanted to argue that, oh, now they're polarizing it as that, right? Like I said, the context that they used it in was for okay, right? Like no matter how you want to say it, it's not a bad thing.
So, like I said, I think some people just want to, for some people, they want to go and see everything that they see. So whether they see someone saying, good morning, someone getting their morning coffee, someone going and stopping at a stop sign or not stopping at a stop sign. For some people, I think, all of those actions that they see, they all get filtered through when they see it. It all gets filtered through. Is this racist? Is this not racist? How does race play a part in this interaction? Yeah. Not even thinking, why would it's like if someone says good morning and your first thought is, well, are they saying that because I'm black or because I'm white or because I'm Native American, whatever the case may be? It's like, I'm sorry, at that point you are causing, if there is any problem, I'd be more likely to say, obviously that's not going to say anything that happens if that's your mindset.
If I say good morning to certain
if you are constantly on the lookout, you're like, I got to sniff out that racism.
Yeah, they're always looking for something to fight because they are nothing without a fight. They need something to fight. You said it yourself. You said it yourself brilliantly that they need something to fight, to rally against. Otherwise, they have nothing. They're nothing. They're useless. And I'm going to say, usually I could say good morning to some of my family members, and they'll just say shut up or groan or whatever, but that's just because they're not morning people. They're really not morning people. But anyway, so I'm gonna end the topic on
what?
I'm gonna end it on this.
They're sitting there, they're grouchy, they're holding their cup of coffee, and they've got their eyes half closed. So it's like, no, obviously they're still trying to wake the hell up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't even think it's a problem with people I think it's a problem with just people that.
No, I know. I was just making a joke. Yeah, I was just making a joke, but I'm just gonna end it here. Yeah. The hand gesture, the okay gesture, is not the hand gesture you should be worried about. I don't have a camera, but I can show you which hand gesture you should be worried about.
There are far more noticeable and obvious hand gestures that are actually used.
Anyway, let's just flip them the bird and move on. So we talked about Bungie. We got Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay leaks. Yay! I know. I'm not. Look, honestly, and unfortunately, I'm not interested in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And this is coming from a guy who is a big Assassin's Creed fan, just not of the more recent games.
Yeah.
And I just forgot that I can't use this site for this. Okay, hold on.
I mean, a lot of the more recent games, I would say the high point for Assassin's Creed was the Ezio trilogy. You have an overarching story that's telling,
hands down, that is correct.
Going to all these places, really interesting characters, and I mean, I will say overall, I believe, I haven't fact-checked it myself, but I believe they've still been sticking, by and large, to try to be historically accurate in.
Not anymore.
Where people are dying in some cases.
Oh yeah, but in most part,
in terms of like where people died and the time frames there and stuff like that. In terms of that, but outside of that, it's like the stories have become more and more and more convoluted and, in my opinion, stupid. There's been a lot of stuff added in there and thrown in there just because it seems like rule of cool than it is to tell an actual story. And that's, I think, when I first played Assassin's Creed, and I started with the very first Assassin's Creed game, I was just like, wow, you have this alternative world here. It's kind of like ours, but you've got the Templars and the Assassins fighting in the shadows there, and on top of that, you're learning more about history and some of this stuff here.
I fell in love for the same reasons.
And then there's aliens, and then there's hey, we killed off the main character.
Were the aliens? I thought they were just another humanoid species that were indigenous to Earth.
Yeah, it's just like honestly.
But that's the thing. It was interesting. You didn't know much about it, and it was the precursors, right? The first civilization, and then you had it. It was good, and as you said, the Ezio trilogy was by far, at least without a doubt in my mind, the height of Assassin's Creed games. I think, in my opinion, Assassin's Creed 4 is probably the last good one.
I was going to say, a lot of people like Black Flag.
And myself included. I love Black Flag, but in terms of storytelling, in terms of like the feel, the Assassin's Creed, the world, don't get me wrong, the story of Black Flag is good, but a lot of people enjoy it more so because of the character, because of Edward, but also because of the gameplay is so good. Yeah. But the story, I still prefer the Echelon stories over it.
Restart it. They need to relaunch it. Rewrite the timeline, something like that.
Or not even just go a bit into the future, I guess, and you're now.
Yeah, honestly, it would be cool as hell. Everyone's doing the cyberpunk stuff here. It'd be awesome as hell to see a cyberpunk based game. It's like 2100 or something.
What's that game called?
Watch Dogs.
You guys want to game Watch Dogs?
Story points well, make everything make sense. Dude, that would be amazing.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: the game Watch Dogs, both of them, are set in the same universe. So I kind of wanted, why don't you have an Assassin's Creed game based in the Watch Dogs world, like Assassin's Creed mechanics, the whole parkour and everything, but along with the Watch Dogs hacking gameplay and in that world, and it's just, so you're essentially an assassin in the modern day. Like, that would have been awesome. Because they're in the same universe. Like you have in Assassin's Creed Origins, because that's actually the only new one I've played. There's a little Easter egg where you can see the CEO of Abstergo Entertainment was killed in 2014 by the main character of Watch Dogs. And you see the clip, and there's a mission in Watch Dogs where you kill the Abstergo CEO from Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. So it's not just they share the same universe. No, the games are literally interconnected. Like you have parts where the characters are dying in other games. You can easily do something with that, but they haven't yet. So.
Well, also one thing because we've seen, a big thing would be how do you translate the gameplay? Because by and large, it's been very much medieval library. You've got sometimes some range weaponry, but most of the time it's melee. If you were in a cyberpunk environment, you can easily go and have it to where, hey, everyone has energy shields, and so ranged weapons aren't as effective as having an energy blade or whatever.
Or something. I don't know. That's going probably much more into the future than they plans, but.
Yeah, but it's there you go. You can go a bit.
You build a new game around it. And here's the thing, Syndicate and Unity, I was not a fan of the what's-face stories, the historical stories, but the modern day stories were still pretty good. Well, not with Unity. Unity didn't have one, but Syndicate did. You were following Rebecca and Sean from the Ezio trilogy. And it was interesting because this was the first time we really see them post Miles' death, and you see how they're, how Sean is handling it. He's become more of an active field assassin. He's not just doing the computer stuff, he's actually doing field work. And you see it's because of Desmond's death that kind of made maybe I should be more active in what I'm doing and everything. And I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see also they found some artifact that will enable them, Abstergo is trying to clone, the Templars are trying to clone a precursor from DNA or something. It's I wanted to know more about that. The problem though with stories starting with the story from Rogue to Syndicate, they kind of deviated in terms of the actual historical stories, and the modern day stories started to become a lot more interesting. Like, I wanted to see more of the modern day stuff.
Oh,
and now they've completely started ignoring that by focusing on being a historical fiction, historical fantasy RPG, which and they've gotten rid of, at least in Origins, they've gotten rid of a lot of stealth mechanics that were kind of unique and part of the IP of Assassin's Creed, like blending in with the crowd and stuff like that. Like, you can't do that anymore.
And that's why I'm kind of worried about.
That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like these games anymore. Is because I don't like. I love that whole hiding in plain sight thing. That was that was the whole
blend in like an actual assassin type thing,
right? And that's why I liked Black Flag so much too, because they actually adapted. Like, look, now you can actually parkour on trees and you can hide in bushes. It's like they improved upon the gameplay. Like, say what you will about the story, whether you liked it or not doesn't matter. They made it was still an Assassin's Creed game. But
well, that's I'm worried with
but in terms of story, Ezio Trilogy was the best. Where you have I'm not just talking about because Ezio's a great character. I'm talking about the mix of modern day to the historical.
The
historical fiction. And I say historical fiction is different than historical fantasy because. Well, just play the Ezio Trilogy and then play the Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and you can see the difference for yourself. The Ezio Trilogy is historical fiction. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is historical fantasy. One is pretty much faithful to history, with the exception of the character you're playing as and the whole assassin versus Templar thing, versus the other one being just no, now you're fighting Minotaurs and Medusa, and it's
what?
Yeah. And look, Atlantis is being ruled by your father. What? I don't know. It's weird stuff.
Yeah.
I don't. And it's
just stuff that
it pretty much
shouldn't be necessarily.
To me, it felt Assassin's Creed felt like the newer ones, like Valhalla coming up probably, and same with Odyssey and Origins.
It felt like a Viking.
Well, here's the thing. It's weird because this is supposed to be before the Brotherhood even exists, let alone the Templars. So it's like, why? How? What? Then it's not even Assassin's Creed.
Wait a minute. Wasn't Origins the start of the Brotherhood?
Exactly. And then Odyssey and Valhalla go back even further.
But
exactly.
Huh?
Yep. There you go.
The Vikings were around in the 1000 era.
Okay, so maybe it's not going back. But I mean, no. What's face? Odyssey was during ancient Greece, so that was definitely going further back.
I thought Odyssey was something like 300 BC or something. Or not? I'm sorry, not Odyssey. Origins. I'm sorry.
Origins was 46 BCE.
Yeah, Origins was the start of
the Brotherhood, and then you have, I think,
So
Odyssey is even further.
That?
Sorry, not Valhalla. I meant Odyssey. I meant Odyssey. Did I say Valhalla?
I'm confused.
Okay, so anyway, the point is, these aren't really Assassin's Creed games anymore, and it felt like Ubisoft just wanted to make a historical fantasy or just a fantasy RPG, and along the lines of The Witcher, but they didn't have the guts to make a new franchise. So they just slapped the IP of Assassin's Creed over it, so this way it has an established fan base and people would buy it. I could be wrong, but that's what it feels, because this doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed anymore.
Yeah.
And I still love those. I love Revelations. Revelations is such a fun game. I know it's the shorter and smaller one of the Ezio trilogy, but I love the bomb crafting mechanic in that game. You can make blood bombs. They just explode into blood, making the enemies think that they're wounded.
Surprise!
Exactly. That's awesome. I just hate that wasn't incorporated into other games. Anyway, I'm gonna go off before I go off topic fully with Assassin's Creed. We actually do have some Ubisoft news overall, where so Ubisoft is going to have some kind of event thing as well, like Xbox. So July 12th, they're going to have some live event, probably showcasing a lot of Watch Dogs 3 Legion stuff and Assassin's Creed Valhalla stuff. So stay tuned for that.
Or else.
No, or don't. I mean, I don't care. You do you. All right, and so here's some more bad news. Nintendo condemns abuse. So apparently, there's been a lot of abuse and harassment accusations in the fighting game industry, in the community. I mean, so a few games. So the Smash Bros. Community has had some drama going on, and a fighting game called Evo has also had. Actually, Evo got canceled. Yeah.
Right.
Here. So here's the article for Evo, because you keep in mind I'm not that big on fighting games, so you have to forgive my lack of knowledge on this, or my ignorance here. But essentially, the CEO canceled an event in Evo, so it's kind of like. And a lot of NetherRealm and Capcom pulled out before the cancellation, so
okay.
Evo is not looking to be in good shape right now.
That's unfortunate.
Yep. So this kind of sucks if you're a fighting game fan.
Yeah.
But and before we leave the topic of gaming, I do have some good news. The only good news of gaming this week. Half-Life Alyx developers want to make a full-scale Half-Life game for consoles. How awesome is that?
That is actually really good.
And if anyone hasn't played or just watched gameplay or watched the story of Half-Life Alyx, it's good. It's good, and before anyone says, "Oh, it's a prequel," it doesn't involve the story and evolve the story any. Yes, it does. I'm not going to spoiler. I'm not going to spoil how, because it is something you need to see for yourself. but it is really good.
I'm assuming it's going to come out on the Stadia then?
On the Stadia?
Or is the Stadia not out?
Stadia's out.
Yeah.
No, I assume they want to make it for like traditional consoles.
Okay, yeah, but I'm guessing it's going to come out on
PlayStation.
Okay.
Xbox, PlayStation. It'll probably come on Stadia too, but I mean, Stadia doesn't really do so well. Like Crucible. Yeah. Apparently Amazon was trying a gaming thing too and didn't work either. Because they're all trying this cloud gaming thing, which is not really what gaming is. We're still, I think, at least in my opinion, we're still at least 2 decades away from cloud gaming being functional. Like consistently functional, because right now...
Yeah, with the streaming that we have right now.
But yeah, I mean... This is huge. I mean, maybe we'll get Half-Life 3. Maybe we'll at least get a Half-Life 2 Episode 3. I don't know. But...
I mean, I would assume from the get-go that it would just be some kind of a port or a translation of some kind of Half-Life.
Maybe it'll be another like Half-Life Alyx type game where it's like a prequel but expands the universe more. I'm fine with that because my problem with Half-Life Alyx is, look, as Chris said, it's a great VR game for people that are new to VR. The problem is I don't have VR yet, so I want a Half-Life game that I can play on console or PC. This would
on that note, there actually is over on I believe it's on the Nexus. So the mod Nexus or Nexus mods rather. There's actually a mod that goes and enables some developer code on there to be able to do at least a good chunk of the game without requiring VR.
Okay.
So on that note, they might just go and do something like fleshing that kind of stuff out so that you could use a traditional controller to go and play it. And then whether or not it's just they make a new game based off of the Half-Life Alyx code and this other code so that you can just use a regular controller, or whether it's they go and port it directly over, whatever the case may be. But
yeah.
I mean, but back to the whole a new game. I mean, even if it's just like a Half-Life Alyx 2, I don't care. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Because it means Half-Life is back. Half-Life is alive again.
Yup. Which, and it's considering the Half-Life
Still alive,
2,
still alive.
I mean, Half-Life 2 was a original Xbox game.
Yeah, that's
so
long ago.
Oh my god, yeah. I have all of them on the 360 through the orange box, and then I have
all
the Portal games on the PC. And then I have Black Mesa.
Out there.
Yeah, I got.
Yeah, there's a reason. There's a whole meme about Valve not wanting to make the third.
Right, they can't count to 3, right? Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Episode 2, Team Fortress 2. But yeah, I mean, this would be awesome, especially since I can kind of maybe we'll do spoilers. But Half-Life Alyx had a pretty good.
Spoiler for me.
I haven't played it yet, so
me as well.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say it. I'll let you guys do it yourselves because I couldn't wait. Someone told me I had to watch it, and I know I'm not gonna be able to get like a VR headset for like another 2 years or anything, just with how things are going. If I'm lucky.
Go start up a My OnlyFans.
Yeah.
We'll just chuck it to another thing that PayPal can do. This is where we can review games and yeah. So new Half-Life, hopefully. But I think that kind of covers all the game news that we have this week. So let's move on to everything we forgot to cover last week. So we got some SpaceX news. SpaceX launched their last month. They launched the Dragon Crew space capsule, and it was a success. Worked. I think that was the first time, right, with people on board. And then obviously they did a few weeks later. They did a GPS satellite launch for the U.S. Space Force.
Yeah.
Titled GPS-3 Space Vehicle 03 mission. So.
Yeah, it's good to see space travel because, well, I mean, obviously there hasn't been a big reason for a long time. Like the current technology,
I'm hoping it becomes more
viable.
I'm hoping it becomes more readily available, so this way we can continue having stuff like this.
Well, and like people say like, oh, why haven't we gone back to the moon? Well, what are you gonna do?
I think NASA actually has plans to go back to the moon. So
yeah.
The current plans are to establish I believe an outpost there.
Yes, that is correct.
To a Mars.
Right, they're going to use it. Yep.
Exactly. But
what I heard as well.
Like, there's no point, right?
And also, keep in mind, it's not just NASA. We got SpaceX, we got NASA, we got Virgin Galactic, Boeing, Amazon has one, Blue Origin, right? Blue Origin, I think it's called. So we got a bunch of these different. Like, this is the new space age, the new space race is not being conducted by governments, it's being conducted by corporations.
Which
might be good, because that means that it'll become more commercially available when it starts paying off.
The question is, do we want... I guess, I don't know, it depends.
Well, here's the thing, they still have to work with NASA in order to do launches and stuff, so as long as that's still the case, I think that's a good thing.
The problem is, who owns space on Mars, right? Who outposts,
I'm going to go to Mars, and I'm going to pee on a spot and claim it as mine.
You're not a dog.
Not all the fact that I asphyxiate to death.
Some aliens, you might be a dog.
That's true. Imagine if we find like 8 foot tall lizard people. But yeah, no, jokes aside, bad jokes aside. Yeah, space. It's good to see more, like a lot of these launches becoming more of a normal, being more of a thing. I think Virgin Galactic is trying to do like a aerial atmospheric takeoff where they have a plane hold the rocket and then the rocket launches from there.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about this for hours, but moving on. We still have a lot to discuss. We got so Batwoman news. We didn't cover this for last month, but Batwoman, the actress Ruby Rose quit or was fired or left.
We covered this. We covered this before, I think.
We did.
Yeah,
I know.
I had said that there was the one person who had been completely paralyzed due to a.
Right. Now I remember. Yeah, we were talking about it, but here's the thing: they're replacing her character with a lesbian who lives in a van. That's all I know. It's they're replacing her the Batwoman character with like some vigilant, some anti-hero that lives in a van. And of course, because the show's all about lesbians and not about Batwoman, it's
I mean, lesbians can be nice and all, but I don't know if you want that to be your main driving point, unless you're doing porn as your overarching story.
No, it's not porn, from what I heard.
If you're doing a TV show, I don't know how well.
Well, it's that whole thing that we talk about where being gay is not a character trait, and it's not a character; it's a character trait, and that's pretty much what they do here, though. It's all about being gay in that show. But yeah. We also have
maybe a little more than that.
Yeah, it sucks, but what it is. Also, shout out to Comics Matter with Your Back, because he actually did a good video, and I'm just going to elaborate on it. How I think his title here says it the best. Oh, actually no, this is our new segment, right? Comic book professionals acting unprofessionally. So comic book pros are now attacking the customers. We've had this for a while now, but they used to roast themselves, or rather each other. And I can tell you this from like some old Spider-Man comics I have from the 80s, where you'd have a thing where Eric Larson and Todd McFarlane would always joke around on like who stole whose art style, because their art styles are very similar in terms of like how they do webbing and how they draw Spider-Man, and it's all, and you'd always have them like kind of go back and forth on it. You'd always have Todd accusing him because Todd came first, and it was funny. But now you have them just attacking the fans, like, don't read my book if you voted for this guy, or here's one, if you still support this president, it's okay, unfollow me if you continue to support him again, or something.
I do love, though, it's like anyone who makes a product, for a very long time, it's like, if someone makes a product, you want to buy the product, okay, you want to buy the product. But now everything has to be politicized. Everything has to be all like, it's like, on what basis do you see yourself as a moral authority to demand action or inaction on another person based solely on the fact that they would like to buy a product that you have made for consumption?
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me. It's like, now if you're saying, hey, I'm a professor on ethics or something, and this is my take on it, like, okay, great, thanks for your opinion. At least then you at least have a professional leg to stand on. But it's like, you're a comic book writer. Now, that's not to, of course, to say comic books have largely dealt with some amount of morality and ethics and cool stuff like that.
Well,
but at the same point, that does not give you any claim on your consumers' actions in any way, shape, or form.
Well, and see, the thing is, it's not, and like the other thing is it's not like they're not allowed to say it or voice their opinion on politics because they're a public figure. The point is they shouldn't be condemning others.
It's not like, but it would be like McDonald's saying, "Hey, if you don't go and like so and so, you better not buy our French fries." Like, it's just like, what? What does this have to do with anything? It makes no sense to my mind.
No, it doesn't make any. It doesn't make any sense. Also, we have someone in the chat. Hey, Darth Hester. Yes, I see the chat. Anyway, yeah. So it doesn't make any sense, and it's ridiculous. Like, you're attacking your customers, and then you are surprised that they don't return to you, and you lose money.
And then there's going to be a big surprise when the comic book industry is seeing decline, when it's these comic book writers that are just
and you're alienating your fan base. It's exactly like what the movies where it's like, hey, goes and panders to a group of people that don't watch our movies anyway and alienates our fan base. Why aren't our movies selling? I fucking wonder.
Yep, and I guess moving along, I wanted to cover this a few weeks ago, but we didn't. So I don't know. I've actually had a lot of these on my YouTube videos. Not recently, but in the last 2 months ago, I had these almost every video I uploaded. And so these are essentially, these comments are saying like, "Hey, want to be friends?" or "Great job," and it's usually from the same people. A channel called Tom with a weird T logo. Or some channel called Logan, and it's always like, want to be friends. And it turns out these comments actually are like a way for them to hack into your account.
Yeah.
They're like what's your face? I forget what the terminology is called, but Cam, maybe you can help me with this.
Phishing or
phishing virus. And like there's another account called Sounds. It's like here before 3,000 or 500 or 200 or whatever. More content. I want to be friends. Stuff like that. It's like all these comments.
Do we know what the process is that they use so that we can warn people on what not to do?
You just don't answer them.
Yeah,
don't answer them. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. Ignore it. If you want a better in-depth thing, just because I didn't a good video on how to a good video about this is Upper Echelon Gamer. He made a great video about it. It's called "The Hidden Danger of the Comment Section." Maybe I'll link it in the description. No, I will link it in the description.
It's a section on like cybersecurity.
It's here. Actually, here's the video itself. It's going about how here's some of the channels that will leave the types of comments. Like here's another one.
I know a little bit, but I wouldn't call myself an expert.
And it's horrible. I don't know why people want to do this, but okay.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of these comments, and I just ignored them. So.
I think from what I know is what they'll do is they'll scam you out of your channel, and they'll just upload like just stupid videos. I don't know.
Probably. I think it's a way to
advertising things, videos.
I think it's a way to defame your channel to boost his. Maybe.
It helps if you have channels that because if you just make a channel with a bot. It's like it can be sometimes kind of obvious that that's a bot. But if you take over a legitimate one, it takes people a while to realize that they've been taken over. And then anyone new coming in who goes, hey, I like this one content they made, not knowing at this point they became a bot and the account was taken over and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It looks a lot more legitimate.
The other thing is it looks a lot more legitimate to any filters that YouTube might have, right? Because it's all the activity is legitimate, and then all of a sudden it's not. So they have no reason to believe it's like somebody not just posting videos.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a serious issue, and I figured that we should make people aware of it. Because if you see comments from these people, and you see like something just saying like "I want to be friends" or "Great, here before 200 or 3,000 or 3,700 or whatever subscribers," just ignore it. Don't do anything. Just ignore it.
Yeah.
But moving on, I can't keep you friends. Why? So let's move on to some Marvel news. So Anthony Mackie, the actor that plays the Falcon, says Marvel is racist for only having black producers on Black Panther. And I actually read this article, and what he means is he's going about how, like, okay, you have all these white guys making white movies, but then you don't have the guys making the black movies. You get black people to make the black movies. That's racist. You should be able to have either doing either. Whoever's best for the job.
Yeah. It shouldn't be we're having these people make these movies because they're this color.
If nothing else, too.
This comment right here, the best
anyway. You're seeing, you're essentially saying, hey, let's say, if same thing were like, if there's let's say with Doctor Strange, and it very much dealt with like Buddhists, and you're like, oh, you can only have Buddhist people making it, and it's like you're essentially saying that whatever demographic the movie is about here or features or whatever is a entire block. It's all the same, and so you can only have black people on it because they're all the same. I mean, to me, that's horribly racist right there. You're essentially saying, well, you're all just part of a monolithic entity. So we're going to have you, so we're going to go and include you so that you can work on on your part of this. Like, what?
Yeah, and just a reminder, Black Panther was created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, both white guys. One of them Jewish.
Yep.
No, sorry, both of them Jewish. Sorry, Steve Ditko is Jewish, but Jack Kirby and Stan Lee are both Jewish. Anyway, so. That's what does that mean that the character now they don't have to write because they're not black? And the reason why I really like this article is because he doesn't just talk about how what Marvel is doing is racist, but just the segregated Hollywood where it's going into it's spreading. You see, like now you can't be.
The idea of segregation is good. It's just like what?
Like I read this entire thing, like, and it goes about how apparently now, like, some mixed character in this TV show that reminds me a lot of like Bob's Burgers, because it's a Apple Plus TV, whatever, Apple TV Plus, whatever you want to call it. So apparently Kristen Bell is the voice actress, yet she plays a mixed character and she's not mixed, so therefore she can't voice her anymore. So they actually had her leave the show and replacing her.
I'm really confused by this new wave that's been coming like in the past 10 years or so, where it's like it's literally backtracking on a lot of the progress that was made in like the 60s and 70s and 80s on racial stereotypes and segregation and all this stuff. We're literally backtracking with people fucking cheering it along. Like, how do you guys not?
Here's the thing: it's hilarious because it's all hypocritical. It's all like, look, we're doing this. It's in the name of diversity and inclusion and representation. That's the terminology being used to thrown around.
You're being non-inclusive. Like what?
And see, the thing is, it's especially bad for voice acting because with voice acting, the voice is the only thing that actor has to convey the character.
Yeah.
So if you're choosing somebody based purely on their voice, it doesn't matter. But that should be hidden behind the screen. It's about their voice, not.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a good example. Well, the Spider-Man animated series from the '90s. I went 20 years without I went not 20, maybe 16 years without knowing that the voice actor for the Kingpin was black.
Right,
I didn't know, and all I did was, okay, that's cool, that's awesome. He had a great voice. Yeah. I loved his portrayal. He's my favorite portrayal of the Kingpin.
Really matter.
He's my favorite portrayal of the Kingpin.
The voice actor doesn't matter to about the character, right? Like,
yeah, look, Mark Hamill is not bleached white with red lips and green hair, but he voices the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not Japanese or Chinese.
Yeah, that's true. Also,
for those who watched Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yep.
Fire Lord Ozai, the terrifying guy there, Mark Hamill.
Yep.
And it's literally about the way they
too. Oh my god, he did really enjoy that.
Not about what color.
Or another example might be for those who have watched, like, for instance, Fairly Odd Parents. Timmy Turner, voiced by a female, because again, pre-Bart males oftentimes are
Bart Simpson's also a
Bart Simpson there. It's like they're oftentimes voiced by women because
of how high the voice is.
Voice there.
Yeah. And, we can go on and on about this because that's just how it is. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter. As you said, like, look, take Peter Cullen and Frank Wells? The guy who played voice Megatron? I'm blanking on his name. Frank Wells. But they're not giant robots from another planet.
I mean, you'll get my toaster on the casting call.
You know what? If I can make money off my toaster, why not?
We're for crumbs.
Yeah, and it's silly. It's silly and ridiculous and.
I think it ties back into this idea that there has to be a fight to fight.
Exactly. I was about to say, is it just another fight for them?
It's tearing down the progress that was made during the civil rights protests and marches and all this stuff here. It's literally undoing this shit. And as you said, the horrible, ironic joke is that it's all in the name of diversity. And it's like, you can't be inclusive by being non-inclusive. You can't be diverse by excluding people. Like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's all or nothing here, people. You treat everyone the same, or accept you're a hypocrite and a bigot. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, this is pretty much, Martin Luther King is probably rolling so fast in his grave. His RPM is probably enough to power the entire state of New York. That's a lot of power, just the power of freaking Manhattan, let alone New York City. But the entire state of New York, I feel that I'm confident that that's how much RPM he's pulling right now. Like, that's incredible. Like, this is, what the hell? And like, this isn't the only animated show. It's going on with other shows. It happened with Simpsons recently. It happened also with Cleveland Brown, right? A Family Guy character.
Yeah.
You know, it's what was it? The guy that voiced Apu. He's not Indian. Therefore we can't voice him.
And so, I mean,
there's certain ones where it's like they're characters that are based on stereotypes of a certain race, and I guess you could argue about the character themselves, not the actor.
Sure, and that's understandable at that point.
Yeah, but I don't think even like characters like Cleveland Brown are definitely not the stereotypes. I don't think, at least. Definitely is, but that whole show is pretty much about stereotypes. So.
Well, I do find it funny too how you have, especially like when you look at Hollywood as a whole, there, a group that has been time after time after time has been proven to be immoral, to be, at the very least, because it's like, with like Harvey Weinstein and all that shit that was going on, when you have, kids literally, and I remember hearing even, before that generation where you had, oh geez, what was the name of the guy? Original Star Trek cast. George Takei.
Nimoy.
He was said like, "Oh my."
Oh, something George
Takei.
Takei, yeah. George Takei, yes.
I remember hearing
Sulu.
him talking about growing up in the Hollywood environment, and how I believe he was in the gay scene there, and that there was very much essentially child grooming there with it.
Well,
and it was just and he didn't realize what was kind of going on until way later on, reflecting back on it and going like, oh shit.
Yeah, well,
and
Hollywood
it's I just find it funny that you have an organization, a collective of people that has for generations been proven to be, if not actively participating, then silently acknowledging it as the politicians and everything say, silence is violence now because everything has to be spoken.
No, silence is golden, duct tape is silver, and swords are bronze. No, this is something that my grandmother told me, and then I added to it. Silence is golden, duct tape is silver, and bronze and silver and swords are bronze. So, take that as you will, but essentially, if you don't shut up, I'm going to take a bronze sword and go medieval on you. But yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And look, like George Takei, I love him. He's hilarious, and I loved him in Star Trek. I love Sulu. But it's so stupid what's going on right now. Like how you have to be this actor or that. Like the whole point of acting is make believing. You're pretending to be someone else.
Well, and like I said, it's like voice acting. It's all based on their voice. It's got nothing to do with who the person is.
Well, I actually saw a really good point on that. I remember seeing there was like some commentary on a movie, and it was about like the South during the slavery and all that kind of stuff. And someone posted in there like, wow, this guy really makes a convincing racist, makes you wonder. And a person's response to it was, it's almost like they're paid to act. Like, it's like, come on.
Yeah, they're paid to.
Their entire fucking job is to convincingly portray a character. That's literally their
let's
take
what's your face? Bryan Cranston in the Godzilla, the 2014 movie. I loved him in that movie. I absolutely loved him in that movie because I felt that his character was real. It felt real that he was like this father that was that was stuck on what killed his wife and made and everything. And look, he's not like that. He's not. That's the whole point. You're making believing, and good actors really make you believe.
Even Breaking Bad, it's not like he was actually
he's not a drug lord
dealer or anything like that, right?
There was
convinced.
On the note of believable acting, there was a movie. It was a horror movie. I don't know the name of it offhand. I just remember reading a snippet about it recently. But this horror movie, essentially, it was portraying as if they were killing these people, and it looked so realistically real that there was actually a court case brought up against the producers of the movie that on murder charges. They thought they really murdered these people. They had to bring out and what also didn't really help them was that the actors all agreed to sign like a 1 year kind of clause in their contract, saying like they wouldn't portray on like social media or anything for like a year after it came out, to kind of be like, hey, why aren't they responding to any of my tweets, kind of shit. And like, and of course they brought the actors in.
So was that meta advertising?
But
that's meta advertising. That's awesome.
So convincing.
Exactly, that's the whole point. We're trying to watch these movies either for escapism or for some kind of like satire or whatever the reason.
Enjoy the story, whatever.
Yeah, the point is you're not like none of the actors. Like, you really think Harrison Ford is like Indiana Jones in real life? No, from what I've heard, he's a bit of an ass in real life. But you know what? That doesn't matter. I still love him as Indiana Jones and as Han Solo and everything. I loved him in The Fugitive. I loved him in Blade Runner.
A couple of months ago or something, he like crashed his plane or something.
Oh, wow.
I'll have to look it up later.
Huh.
But yeah, it kind of sucks that this is like becoming a thing. And here's the full interview.
One thing
so
too, on a similar note, it does seem like a lot of times now there's, at least in terms of like from the media in Hollywood itself, it seems like there's much more of this idea that, especially like if you are famous or if you're pretty much in the limelight at all, that you have to portray yourself as they assume you should, meaning how they think a person should. Otherwise, you are the most horrible thing since not sliced bread.
It's sad and it's insulting to see after all the progress we've made.
Absolutely.
And that cat's meowing in the background. We'll just ignore that. So we have more Marvel news. So I didn't know this was a thing until I was doing research on it. Marvel's canceled New Warriors show would have introduced MODOK, mobile organism designed only for killing. And I didn't even know they were going to make a show, but I guess they're not anymore.
Rip.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me get the cat.
Mew. Mew, I say. Mew. Mew. Mew.
So my question is, are people going to spin, or have they already began to spin the cancellation of New Warriors as
I checked multiple sources. I think it was already canceled, but I think it was like they were going to do it and then it.
No, I mean, are people putting a spin on it that, it's because people are like, they hate this or that?
No, this was supposed to be completely different from the comic book. This was like a show. It's going to be in like Disney's Plus or something. So, yeah, just for anyone interested. And apparently, Marvel just loves getting political. Because we have this.
It's because everybody has to be a more.
Apparently, the Punisher logo is now bad. It's good. I don't know. So because
Punisher,
the Punisher logo, like the skull.
Yeah.
Apparently now it's a. I don't even know why everyone's upset about it. I'm still confused as to why everyone's upset about it.
White supremacy.
Like you have, I guess, because they made it this now. I mean, I don't even know why it's upset. It's a freaking logo on a dude's chest, supposed to instill fear and act as a target because he's wearing a Kevlar suit except for his face.
It's because skulls are scary, and that's not good.
Oh, God, what are we, China now?
Every time you blink, it's a dog whistle for white supremacy, so you better stop that.
Don't you know the implications of a skull like that? Come on.
This is just ridiculous.
Because of the implication.
You're a black and white cat. Are you racist? No. So cute. Purring in my lap right now.
I don't know. Cats do hate humans. They are pretty xenophobic.
They hate humans, but they hate us least out of all of them.
No, this one loves me. This one keeps butting its head against me and everything.
Don't get away.
Anyway, so yeah, it's just...
We know that they know.
Also, I think this is old news, but apparently some poor soul purchased 500 copies of the new Warrior comics, and the comic book was actually canceled as well.
Yeah, so are they getting refunded?
No, they don't get refunds. That's the whole problem. Yeah. They don't get refunds.
That's hard.
That's
so some poor soul purchased 500 copies of that piece of crap, and now it's supposedly, it got shelved permanently. It's supposedly canceled now.
Thanks for the cash, asshole.
Yeah.
I like to imagine they were going to do it as a joke, and then they realized that they couldn't get refunds.
Yeah, I wonder if Children of the Atom. I wonder if the Children of the Atom book is canceled too, because that was also like another. Like, look, they're all new characters. They're just race swapped versions of the old characters.
And honestly, it's like at this point, it's just like, come on, guys. I personally think it's pretty fucking pathetic to be like, hey, we can't go and make a good character who is, female or black or Asian or whatever demographic you want there. We can't go and write a new character like that, and we aren't going to bother bringing out the old ones who are like that. We're just going to go and take a character that's already popular, and we're just going to go and change them to be this demographic, and then try to sell that. And then they wonder why the fuck no one's buying it. Look, if you want a character of a certain demographic, just write a good one. Like, not even a good one. Just write it so it makes sense. They aren't a complete caricature or a racial stereotype.
Yeah, and the problem also is the New Warriors book. Like, I wasn't a big New Warriors fan as a kid. I mean, my knowledge of them really stems from whatever crossovers they had with Spider-Man and Thor. And Captain America, and I mean, they're a pretty diverse group already. So, and not forced diversity either.
Yeah, like actual diversity.
Yeah. I mean, hell, one of them's a freaking Atlantean, which I guess they hate land people in Marvel.
So don't poke their gills. They don't like that.
Yeah, the chick with the ear in the background, that cover there—that's the Atlantean. I'm blanking. I always forget if it's Namora or Namorita. One of them's his wife. One of them's his niece or something. I'm always forgetting which one.
Don't get them mixed up.
Yes, I know. That's why I never say which one, because I don't want to guess wrong. All right, so we have, aside from, so I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing that book got canceled?
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah.
Because it was such a horrible thing, but I wanted to see how bad it would do. But
honestly,
then it being canceled kind of says it for us, doesn't it?
Like, it was. I'm hoping that they just got self-aware, realized, hey, people really don't want this, and just completely pulled it.
I will say that it's a good thing that it was canceled, because obviously there were some people who wanted it. I'd say it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you look at it.
And I can understand, and hey, for the people who did want it, who were looking forward to it, hey, sorry, but at the same point, I think most people, most of the actual comic book fans are just looking at it in abject horror.
Well, it was looking at it and going, why would I ever buy this?
Exactly. It's like it's a product, and like we were saying about before, it's a product made to pander to an entirely different fan base who doesn't care about comics, while alienating your current fan base, and then you're going to wonder why the hell didn't it sell? Come on, this isn't fucking algebra here.
Yeah, it is really stupid. But moving on, we have a rumor that the MCU Spider-Verse movie will see Spider-Man die and Miles Morales replace him. Now, in order for that to happen, they would actually have to have Spider-Man to begin with. And as much as I liked Tom Holland as Spider-Man in Civil War, that's not Spider-Man, so... but that kind of built on what I was talking about last week, on how, all Miles Morales is just the character that waits for Peter Parker to die so he can replace him. And, oh my god, dude, you have to stop crawling all over.
Well, I mean, it would be interesting to see, or heck,
I would be very interested in seeing Tobey Maguire come back as Spider-Man, because to me, he is the movie version of the character. The first two movies, and even some of the third movie was good. Not all of it, but some of it. but definitely those first two. Like they're amazing. They have yet to top even the first one, let alone the second one. And it's just, I mean, and here's the thing. I saw the Spider-Verse movie, the animated one. It was okay. It's good, but it's not, I mean, I liked it because I got to see Peter Parker Spider-Man.
I'm a huge fan of it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I love the animation style, though. That was definitely good.
Yeah, the animation was
it's just
insane.
Here's the thing, like MCU Spider-Man is not Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man in name only. Like, if you want a more,
I would love to see down the line, essentially, having him grow into being Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot if they do that, but at the moment they're not giving me really much to count.
Oh, fuck no. Then again, MCU has only just kind of gotten their hands on Spider-Man as a character because we're so long with by Sony. So admittedly, they might not have had much real time to be able to plan more longer term for that.
Yep.
The other thing is, it's always the same thing about they want to do something different. They don't want to be just the same Spider-Man, you know.
Yeah, and it's also the whole diversity, representation, blah blah blah. Well, I mean, that's what Miles Morales was to begin with.
When it's done well. Like, I mean, I would think, like, for instance, if they were to do a movie on Miles Morales, and just not have it be focused on, you know, how he's not Peter Parker, and like having, if his entire character is defined as not Peter Parker but Spider-Man, it's just like, come on, no, you have to make them their own character.
Yeah.
What are they? Like, what defines them? Not aren't they?
I'm not going to say, like, the only person that can be Spider-Man is Peter Parker. I mean, to me, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. There's no difference between the two.
I will say, I think
you can't have another character be Spider-Man. They did it really well in the 90s with Spider-Man 2099. Miguel O'Hara is not Peter Parker, but he was very much Spider-Man.
With the Doc Ock Spider-Man too.
And,
I don't think that was too bad.
And look, if you want to watch, like, if you're not a fan of the comics and you want to watch a good Spider-Man, like a accurate, or at least somewhat accurate, comic book accurate Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire is that. So, and Spider-Man 2 is probably the best one out of all.
Remember though, if you want to give yourself nightmares, just remember the Tobey Maguire when he was trying to do the bad boy Spider-Man.
Yeah, just don't watch Spider-Man 3.
Oh my gosh, it was terrible.
I mean, there were good moments. I like Sandman in that movie.
But... I will say this:
the effects for Sandman 2.
Tobey Maguire did an excellent job of acting like what Peter Parker, like what you would imagine Peter Parker, this guy who's pretty much been just a dork all through high school. When he thinks he's being a bad boy and does. Oh yeah,
that's fair. That is true. Here's the thing. I can't blame him because that's what happens when the studio gets involved.
He did an excellent job.
Yeah,
he did an excellent job.
I'm not blaming him at all. I'm saying
the role itself
the movie itself
horribly cringy.
The movie itself
I don't know.
Was. Can I tell you what originally Spider-Man 3 was going to be? It was just going to be Sandman, and maybe and then set up the Green Goblin 2 in the fourth film with Harry, right? But the studio got involved, and like, no, we already did a classic villain, and we had to do like Venom because Venom's more modern and everyone loves him, and that's what happens when the studio gets involved with the creative direction of the director.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3 is what you get when that happens. So I'm just gonna tell you, Spider-Man 3 without the studio would probably have been great. It would have just been Sandman. He's a villain, then he gets redeemed, but then they set up, Harry's now the Green Goblin at the end. Like, they did that in Spider-Man 2, but now you actually see him as the Green Goblin. Like, at the end. Like, you'd see him because I also hated the suit design they gave him. Like, I wanted to see him just in the classic Green Goblin suit, or even in the first movie suit. But it's hid under there. And this way, because that was the whole thing in the comics, is because they didn't change the costume from, whoever put on the when it was Harry or Norman, the costume was still the same. And when Spider-Man first sees him, it completely messes with him. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
I wanted to see that on the screen. I wanted to see that on screen, like, you're supposed to be dead. And it turns out, no, it's Harry. And it messes with him because now it's his best friend who just became his worst enemy. And it's... Anyway, I'm going on a side topic. Yeah, so... Spider-Verse MCU thing, it could be good. I would love to see Tobey Maguire come back. I mean, just looking at this image, this little Photoshop image here, it's kind of funny because which do you think's the most comic accurate suit there? I'll give you a hint. Toby.
Yeah.
It is. It's just the most comic accurate suit there. It's weird. Like now you're seeing it side by side with the new suit. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the new MCU stuff, but whatever. So now we have some DC news. So race. So we were just talking about race and gender swapping, and it's going to continue because CW producer Greg Berlanti seemingly proposes more race and gender swaps for DC comic characters. And the gall he has is, I'm going to read this aloud. In the DC universe especially, there's been a focus on us recognizing that we want to create heroes that look and felt like today, not the 1940s and 50s. They were all very well intentioned when they created those back then, but there's a certain responsibility that you have if you're going to escort these iconic characters into this generation to make sure they feel that they have the heart of that character, but they don't have to have the gender or the color of that character or the sexuality. And that immediately is just like, no, that's not. No. And then he continues.
What they should have said is, so we want to do all this and have this new character and stuff, but we don't want to give up the name, so we're going to use the name because we're scared.
Because this way there's an established fan base, and there you don't have to lose money.
Pretty much.
And he talks about how you have to honor them. Like, this is how you honor the characters? No, you're dishonoring the characters by doing that.
Make new characters.
Yeah, like that unfortunate perfect storm created a moment, talking about the George Floyd death, created a moment where people couldn't deny what was happening in this country anymore because of that, and because of the magnitude of the response we've seen. It doesn't feel different. The speeds with which so many companies, network studios, and other entertainment entities put out statements of supporting Black Lives Matter is not something we saw before. And he's right about that, but I mean, it was still pretty bad beforehand, too. It's not like... It just got worse, but it was still pretty bad. I mean... Yeah, and I just hate it. Like, this is supposed to be Iris West. Now, for anyone who's read the comics, Iris West is white and has red hair.
Yeah.
Same with Jimmy Olsen. Same with what's face? Wally West, the Kid Flash, who later became the Flash. Yet in the show, they're like, and this is more so a problem with them. Like, Hollywood has this fetish with changing redheads into black people.
Like Ariel, and
it's not.
It's really weird too.
It's really weird because they're very consistent about it.
So much.
They're very consistent about it. They did it with freaking Annie. Like, I'm not a musical guy, but I know what Annie is, and that's pretty hardcore. Like, you're changing Annie now? Oh my god! Stop messing with the door. Sorry, cat. But yeah, this is just sad. Attention. Pay no attention to the cat behind the curtain. And just unfortunately, to elaborate on this problem, we have Time Magazine. Now, Time Magazine thought to be, I don't know what, but apparently superheroes are now bad because they're cops in capes.
Wait, that we can't portray in any way, shape, or form.
And apparently cops are all evil now because one idiot cop who did what he should not have done killed some guy. And I'm going to call a spade. As awful as it was still, I mean, it's still arguably an accident, because you could make the argument the guy didn't hear him, and but if he did, it's still purposely, but it was unfortunate circumstances.
Hear him.
Yeah. Haven't we heard time after time again, it's not all black people, Muslims, etc., 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 and it's like, cool, okay, but if you're going to have any kind of reasonableness to that argument, that has to apply across the board.
Right, it can't just go both ways. You can't just be racist against white people
it's not all
and
people
then claim
here,
it's not racist, because that's still racist.
That's not how this works.
And yeah, it's apparently where cops with capes, even though what's funny is that's kind of what the Punisher is supposed to be. All right, like he's supposed to be like he's doing what the cops don't.
Yeah,
it's funny because like all the cops hate him. Like he
there was actually a case where I remember seeing a short a comic panel. I don't know which one it was, but it shows some police going like it shows the Punisher stopping like a bad guy or something like that, and some police come by and they're like, "Oh, hey, it's you. We're actually like fans of yours," and they actually have like little Punisher patches on their uniform, and Frank just kind of looks at him and he's just like, "No, you don't get it. He's like, no, you need to stay on your side of the line there. You don't idolize me." He fully acknowledges that he's crossed the line there. And he's like, no, you need to stay on your side of the line.
His literal goal.
Keep yourself there. I'm going out of bounds here. I am fully, I'm going to the dark side here.
He doesn't expect himself to ever come back. That's the whole thing. He has nothing to come back to. This way, he has nothing to lose, and that's why he's doing it. His entire goal is to kill all criminals.
Exactly.
And he knows that he knows that will never end.
You need to keep within your rules and regulations and helping people as much as possible. He's fully knows he's written himself off pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought that was a very poignant message there.
Yeah, and it's what the hell? It's I don't know. It's stupid when you see it. Like, really? No. I mean, that was a good story. Actually, I know which one you're talking about. But like, here they're talking about how like the Avengers work for the secretive agency S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, in the movies they do. In the comics, they have nothing to do with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
S.H.I.E.L.D. is a separate entity. I mean, yeah, Stark
which
funds
just goes to show you how much Hollywood knows about their own fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean, no, I get it. I think in Ultimate Comics, that's the thing too. Is S.H.I.E.L.D. runs the event.
Even how many times have they spouted something off and it turns out they're nowhere near close?
Right? No, you're not wrong. It's like, but because in the comics, S.H.I.E.L.D. is. I mean, yeah, Tony Stark kind of funds and at least designs all the weapons and gadgets for S.H.I.E.L.D. But I mean, the Avengers are a completely separate entity. They have their own jurisdiction. They have their own like charter and stuff with the UN. It's like really, if you're gonna say anyone runs the Avengers, it would be the UN.
Pretty much.
Based on whatever their charter allows them. Like, 'cause, I remember reading a '90s comic where like Sandman actually becomes an Avenger, and it's like they're not allowed to do like just something that he did. Like he stopped something. It's like according to our charter, we're not allowed to do this. But good job. Like Captain saying like this is out of our charter, but like unofficially, excellent job, man. You did great.
Yeah.
So this way, like he wouldn't get in trouble with the whole higher up and everything. But
he's just like, wait, what? Someone's thanking me? What?
But yeah, it's just the whole like cops really like I mean technically Batman is a cop in a cape, but.
I mean,
to a degree, he can't. A cop can kill. Batman cannot.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's why, because he's not a cop, he knows he can't kill without. But like that's why he doesn't kill. Like a lot of people think it's just because of like a moral thing. It's two things. One, Batman doesn't kill because he knows he can't kill because he's still technically only a civilian and not a cop. But also he knows if he kills, he's not going to stop at one villain.
Oh, exactly.
And that's why he exercises so much control.
It's understandable because it's like you go over that and he's be like he knows he can't.
He knows if he crosses that line, he's never coming back. That's why he never crosses that line. That's actually.
And
if you want to watch a good movie where it says that line, watch Batman Under the Red Hood. Fantastic animated Batman movie. And you are being annoying, little cat. But yeah, that's
cat.
Yeah, I just had it on my lap, and then he just ran away.
You're an asshole. I am baby.
But yeah, it's just like really, we can't talk about superheroes now. We can't talk about cops now.
Remember, they want to take these same people want to take Paw Patrol off the air because cops is a good light. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
This is ridiculous.
Which is just crazy. Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and it's stupid, and it shouldn't be happening, but people are morons, so...
No, I will know. So we are
at about 2 hours here.
No, I have the time here. I know. We're at 2:18.
Don't worry.
I am keeping track.
I just know because my headset just gave me the battery critical. I was like,
But on the topic of the whole, like, the Time Magazine thing, we actually had... So apparently Dean Cain is an actual cop now. Dean Cain's the actor who played Superman in the Adventures of Lois and Clark in the 90s. I thought he was a great Superman, by the way.
Yeah.
And actually almost had the chance to meet him at Comic-Con. It's really cool. He's actually a cop now, and it's kind of awesome.
Like real-life cop, you mean? Yeah.
And it's just so ridiculous. Like, I'm sure his response was more like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?"
Yeah.
Here. Yeah, like that's pretty much true. As Superman, he probably wouldn't be. Actually, I'm going to see. Can I?
Good morning, Ainsley.
What do you think? At first, it was Paw Patrol.
This one's got me a little fired up.
I'm sure. All right, first it was Paw Patrol. It was the war on cops. Now superheroes. You were a superhero, and now you're a police officer. What do you think?
Look, I played a superhero on television. This is insane to me, though, because these are the people. These people will scream anti-police rhetoric all day long, but when their life is threatened and they need a hero, they will dial 911, and a police officer will show up because police officers are heroes. Now, yes, there have been some bad apples. There's been some bad situations, but 99.9% of all police officers are fantastic. They are there to serve and protect, and they do a fantastic job. This whole cancel culture thing that we're living in right now is crazy. It's like an early version of George Orwell's 1984. Up is down, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength.
Okay, so for what he said, I would say that the idea that because you use the cops you can't or police you can't criticize them is kind of off. But I think he's pointing out just
the hypocrisy of what they're saying. Like all cops are evil. Yet we're still gonna he's talking about how. I think he's saying like because some people I've heard this argument before. It's like they're saying they're gonna say the cops are bad. Yet right now, if something happens right now, who are you gonna call?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, you can't, like, you're called, like, it's just saying, like, oh, I hate the cops. Oh, wait, someone's breaking into my home. 911, you know.
Until they're of use for me. Yeah. It's like, come on.
True. She says, in the real world, tolerance for law enforcement acting with impunity is eroding. Law enforcement acting with impunity has never been something we've tolerated, never will. Calls to defund the police have now gone mainstream. No, they haven't. Look at Seattle's chop zone. Look what happened there. Look at the crime statistics in New York City. Then she says,
yeah, seriously, we've had a lot of shootings recently.
Cops. You can destroy that in one, just a list of titles. Training Day, Serpico, The Departed, The Wire, Black Klansman, Rambo. I mean, the list goes on and on because a bad cop is a great villain because they're not supposed to be bad. So this stuff all just drives me insane. I promise you, as Superman, I wouldn't today be allowed to say truth, justice, and the American way.
Oh my gosh, you're right. You're absolutely right. But if you watch any of these superhero shows, there's usually a protagonist. There's usually one bad guy, but all the superheroes are trying to fight him. And they always show that good prevails in the end. Paw Patrol, my daughter loves it.
I think that was really well said. What about you guys?
Yeah, no, I think overall was.
Well, the other problem I think that is going on right now in the States too is the I don't think cops are that much trained for like riots and stuff, and they're just being kind of tossed into.
Yeah, I mean it is pretty bad in a lot of places, especially here in New York, where we have. Like, take 4th of July, you know, we were talking about how everyone's launching fireworks, and I had people calling the cops that night we were recording. No one came. And I can completely understand why.
Yeah, because, like, I think it's a bit much to expect every single person to react to a situation like this with like, no mistakes, but obviously these mistakes should be realized.
We're all human at the end, so...
Yeah.
That's why I have this Superman issue. Good issue. It's... And there you have it. You have it from a guy who played a superhero and is a cop in real life. So, and he was a good Superman too. Like, I don't know if anyone's watched Lois and Clark. I enjoyed that show. But yeah, it's so stupid. like we have this going on. Like, cancel cops. Cops are evil. Blah.
Well, it's just cancel anything.
Yeah,
it's cancel. It's not even
as we were discussing earlier. It's all about the rallying against something to fight against. You know, it's rallying to fight against something. That's all. That's their existence. They need something to fight against, even if it's good.
If there's not negative in the world, then what's the point?
They're the people. You know what? I'm gonna be really blunt right now. They are the like these kinds of people that are canceling everything because of political views, or doesn't agree with them, or they just need something to fight against, even if they agree with it or not.
Like, they are the problem.
They are the people that are preventing us from reaching that Gene Roddenberry utopia future that we all love from Star Trek. Let that sink in, viewers. Let that sink in. Now, moving on to some good news. We actually have more Superman news. We have a trailer for the Man of Steel animated movie. We kind of talked about it briefly when they announced it, but now we actually have a trailer, and it's very. And I like the animation so far.
No,
but it's drawn more in like a bit more of a 50s aesthetic.
No. I'm gonna have to run here.
All right.
Do we want to wrap it up pretty quick then?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up really quick. We only have we have a lot to. All right, you guys want to? I can do this on with just you and me, Kilios. Yep, okay, I guess. Alright, so anyway, Cam just left. We'll just continue watch this. So I have a few topics left, so.
Alright.
But this is pretty cool. Right, I'm not playing any volume for the sake of... Like, look, I don't care what I show on this channel, you know, like copyright strike and all that, but I don't want to really have to do a bunch of tedious stuff against the copyright holders and everything.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just have it muted and deal with it later.
Not have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'd just rather not deal with it right now. I still have to claim all those disputes. I had to dispute all those claims, on the Sony video that we did, because it blocked the video. For a trailer footage, not even for audio, for trailer footage of like the GTA 5 trailer, and I'm just like, like 17 other people have done exactly what I did, and their videos are still up.
Well, it's like, it's not like we're just showing the trailer with the intention.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah.
Also, I figured this would be so just a quick thing on movie theaters. So we're kind of now. We're leaving comics and going into movies. So, AMC, especially here in New York, it's not doing very well. So, Tenet was supposed to be the first big event in theaters, but then so was Milan, the Disney film, and Disney and who's the publisher of who's the studio behind Tenet?
I have no clue. I
don't know. Whoever's behind them, they're kind of playing like movie chicken with who's going to launch their movie first, because of the whole quarantine and COVID-19 thing going on.
Yeah.
So, and this has been, and look, a lot of films are like the films that do hit theaters right now are doing awfully, and it's not because of like whether the film's good or not isn't going to change it. The problem is because of the whole quarantine and safety and 6 feet apart, social distancing. Meaning you can only have like half the amount of people in the movie theaters normally.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even if they did want to show it,
and
they could have a lot reduced viewership.
I heard a cool idea someone mentioned about doing like outside theaters, which I think would solve a lot of problems there.
Oh yeah, like drive-in theaters, or just like outside, like theaters. Like I know they do it sometimes in the city here. They'll have like retro, like old movies, like they did it with The Matrix last year for the 20th anniversary. They showed it in the park. And I thought, so they can do stuff like that. That would be cool. But especially because the problem is being in a confined, enclosed space. Whereas if you're in an open area with open air, the whole likeliness of you catching it are a lot. Exactly.
The problem is, do people want to stand around in masks and gloves for 2 hours? Well, gloves isn't a big issue, but masks. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of logistical not loopholes. A lot of logistical. Gymnastics that have to be done right now.
Yeah.
And at least here in New York, it's not going to get any better anytime soon. We just did last week. 2 weeks ago, we just had phase 2 of reopening, and our governor yanked movie theaters, malls, and gyms from Phase 4. So, where other cities and places are going to have Phase 4 reopening, allowing gyms and stuff, we're not. So, I'm not going to be able to go to my gym or go to a movie theater for another few months.
Which I think the
states the gyms will be fine, but the gyms and the malls might be fine. Well, the gyms definitely will be fine. The malls might be fine. But the movie theaters are screwed. AMC is probably going to go under. I heard a rumor that I think Amazon was going to buy AMC. It's a rumor. I don't think confirmed it, but yeah, I don't know. That'd be interesting if they did. But because then you can watch Amazon originals in the theater. But, like The Boys and stuff. Which reminds me, actually, the Boys 2 trailer came out. I'm not going to play it just because. I don't want to go too long right now. I just figured, and besides the only news it's mentioned it. I haven't watched it yet, so unless you want to watch it right now. Did you watch season 1?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, because I actually enjoyed season 1. It's very graphic and whatever, but I like the ideas behind it. I like the ideas of corporate, they're corporate owned superheroes, and they're essentially everything they do is essentially made up. They're real jerks and in real life. They get away with killing and stuff because it's under an accident or this or that. It's a good series. It's a new take on the superhero. And obviously it's you have not Superman who's super evil. You have not Wonder Woman. You have not Aquaman. So because it's the Seven. They're called the Seven. They're the not Justice League essentially.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. If you should check it out. It's only 8 episodes right now. So
where did you watch that?
Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to then.
But this one is a bit more of a problem. I think we can probably end it here, and the rest of the topic we can just cover next month, if that's fine with you.
Alright.
But essentially, this isn't related to UK. This isn't exclusive to UK, but essentially all these films are getting warnings on them. Aliens is getting warning. This film has outdated attitudes, language, and cultural depictions which may cause offense today.
They
did it with other films. They did it with both versions of Disney's Aladdin, and it's sad. Really nice to issue warning labels. It's one thing if you're doing oh no, this film has graphic. It's not. It's one thing if you're okay, this film has. Graphic violence, nude, sex, this, blah blah blah, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, whatever.
Or if there's something with very blatant racism or something, but to say that it's some of the the nature of the jokes or whatever was a little bit different back then because it wasn't as censored. If there's obviously, like I said, if there's blatant stuff, then I don't know. We shouldn't be. It's so hard too because it's I don't think there should be warnings on him, especially with Aladdin. I don't know. It's super hard to actually police that.
It's just stupid too. It's unnecessary. Look, Gone with the Wind, really.
Yeah,
and they do it with. They have it with more. They have it with the Goonies here. They have it with the Goonies. They have it with they have it with pretty much every film from the 80s. The Goonies. They have it even the more recent Jungle Book movie.
Yeah.
They have it with Dora the freaking Explorer.
And like I said, it's just so insanely hard because who gets to draw that line? Exactly.
The newer Aladdin one, Flash Gordon, really?
Yeah.
Aliens, we already saw that, and they saw it here. It's on a different platform. Aliens is also being censored. Trading Places. I can understand why they're doing this one because in Trading Places they have blackface. Dan Aykroyd puts on blackface, but really, it's funny. It's humor. It's not.
Yeah, well, and then just say...
There's literally... One of my favorite Eddie Murphy skits from SNL is when he puts on whiteface and pretends to be a white dude, and it's a hilarious skit. I recommend anyone to watch it. It's essentially how it's like it's the whole point. It's like how like all the world treats white men better than black men or something, and it was hilarious. It was so funny, and that's the whole point. It's supposed to be humor. It's supposed to make you laugh.
Yeah, and I think humor is something that, well, and like I said, as if it's obvious what the intention is to be racist, then that's a problem. But if it's humor, it should be exempt because humor is used to draw connections to so many things in society, so many issues. Humor is used to bring light to this stuff.
Like, it's supposed to make the laugh at it. You're supposed to laugh at how, like, also how are we supposed to How are we supposed to evolve if we keep getting offended by these old things?
Mm-hmm.
And also, like in Trading Places, he puts on blackface, and it's supposed to be so he's disguised.
Yeah, like
it's a disguise so that he doesn't get detected.
It's not like
as well as being hilarious because of Eddie Murphy being a hilarious dude. But yeah, and then you have Breakfast at Tiffany's. Really, Breakfast at Tiffany's? You're gonna censor that one too? Like, Gone with the Wind. It's like this is like why? It just it boggles the mind when you have you need to censor all of this because we didn't make it. I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
Should we end it here, or should we just end it on this one good news? Because I have one.
Sure. Let's end it on some good news.
Okay, so I mean, I think it's good news. What is it? So we have. I don't know if this is a rumor or not, so bear that in mind. But we have supposedly a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action series. Now, I'm a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, so this would be awesome.
Yeah, so it'll be super good then.
Yeah, I mean, I was very, 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 very. I don't think I can even use words to describe how disappointed. I was extremely disappointed with the Whatchamface movie, with the live action movies.
Oh, the Michael Bay's movies.
Oh my god, they were awful.
Yeah,
those were horrendous. I mean, it's like the orcs from Lord of the Rings met Shrek met Doomsday from Batman vs Superman. It was horrible.
Yeah, if they can do
like that, like I always make the joke, like the Geon in Star Citizen is what the Ninja Turtles should look like if they become live action. and I'm not joking.
Yeah.
It's a half joke. I'm partially serious when I say that. They look like, because honestly, I don't need them to have humanoid faces. I prefer if they had just like turtle faces, but with maybe. Actually, you know what? It would be better if they didn't have like humanoid eyes at all. If they went with the more comic book cartoon eyes, where it's just white, where it's just white eyes on the bandanas. Because you'd be amazed at how much more expression you can get out of that than having them look humanoid.
Yeah, they don't need to look human. They're turtles.
Yeah, they're mutants. They're teenagers and they're ninjas. Anyway, but yeah, it would be cool. And this is obviously a new book. Being done by Eastman and Laird, which are the original creators of TMNT.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I hope that this rumor is true.
Yeah, and I hope it's good
especially if Kevin Eastman's involved, because the dude was So I don't know if you know about the 2003 cartoon they did. It was just. I think it was just called TMNT.
No, I'm not sure. I haven't watched any of the cartoons in a long time.
Okay, so here's let me just get an image of it, because it is actually a real. If you're, so the 2003 one was actually the most comic accurate series we've had. Okay. And Eastman and Laird were both involved. They actually had cameos in the show as like two cops. And yeah, this is how they're drawn in the show, and I loved it because I love how each one has a different shade of green, so you can tell which. And it's obviously with the different color headband, you can tell which one is which easily.
Yeah.
And they give them the classic comic eyes. So.
Well, Well, yeah. Hopefully it's good then. But yeah, they don't need to make them human. I don't think. Oh, it's all good.
Yeah, but this would, if we had something along these lines, I'd be down. I thought this was a really good series. I enjoyed it. You had development. It was definitely comic accurate. They did a crossover movie where you had like all the different cartoons and comic book, even the comic book versions, all meet each other.
Yeah.
So like you had the '80s cartoon here with the 3 guys, but anyway, yeah. So I don't know. It's cool that we can get. I just hope it actually becomes a thing. It's not just like a rumor that just fades away into nothingness, or it is a live action project, but it then like devolves into something horrible like we got with what's his face with the Michael Bay films, because those were terrible.
Yeah, I think the Michael Bay films were more just capitalizing on the franchise and then having it like the big explosion as Michael Bay.
Honestly, those are not the Transformers. You want the Transformers, read the Marvel comics, watch the 80s G1 cartoon, watch any of the other cartoons, any of them. They're just... I hate the designs. I mean, look, Bumblebee was a step in the right direction, but they still have a long way to go. Especially since the Transformers are very human characters. Like, the characters and the personalities are very human. So you can do movies without them without humans in it entirely and have a good film.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. You want us quickly, I guess, plug our stuff, PayPal and everything. Assuming I still have the link for that. Why do I not keep it readily available? No, and here it is. No, that is not it. Here it is. So yeah, we have a PayPal now. If you want to help support the channel, kind of help support us, help fund content. Like for instance, we want to play new games. We can't always afford to play the new games, so you want to, the PayPal would. Like honestly, it would be amazing. You guys, it would literally be like you pay, we get money from the PayPal to pay the game, so that then we can play on the channel, and then you guys can watch, and then it's a cycle of entertainment and paying each other back. And I don't know, rambling on. But we have a PayPal now, so if you want to help support the channel, this is the best way to do it. And obviously we have sponsor if you want to help out our pseudo sponsor, I guess, because they don't really pay us yet. But I mean, they're a great company and they're an honest company and they make food, and everyone needs food. So check out Iron Chef. They make good sauce, and I think they just created a. My cat's being annoying. They just created I think like a branch in their company where they're working on bottling for other companies. So if you have a hot sauce company or a sauce company or something, and you need your stuff to be bottled, check them out. Call them up. So yeah, and I think that's gonna call it for this week. I think when are we gonna be back? We want to do it a month again. So let's see. Today was the 11th. You want to do the 1st?
Yeah, I'm good for, I think whenever that weekend.
August 1st is going to be the next episode, probably also at 9:30. Let's just move it to 10 because we always go late anyway. So 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on August 1st will be the next episode. So thanks everyone for watching. Feel free to give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Post a comment, whatever you want, as long as it's clean. And
ask any questions, we'll try to answer them.
Yeah, we try to read all the comments at the end if we have any. We just haven't had any, so
yeah.
And look, if you feel free to subscribe, help the channel grow, and if you have subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed because people have been getting unsubscribed from my channels. So YouTube's been cracking down on that. It's really weird.
Subscription, yeah.
It's and I think that'll be all for this week. So take care. Have a good evening or good morning, wherever the hell it is. Stay safe and remember, treat others how you want to be treated.